Hello everyone, me again, as promised. Said I'd be coming live tonight, 7 o'clock, and here I am. It's been a bit of a busy day for me today here in Spain. Is anybody on here yet? Yes we are, we've got somebody on. Who have we got? Lisa Jane, nice. Thanks for joining, Lisa. Wow, people are joining already. Okay, a little bit about this week. It's been a bit of a tough week for me. I'll start with the downside. Last Wednesday when I was live on here, little did we know that my wife's father was sadly passed away. So it's been a bit of a tough week for my wife especially. So last Wednesday I finished the live at, I think it was about 10 to 9 my time, 10 to 9 Spanish time, 10 to 8 UK time. And at about 5 to 10 we got a phone call. And I just heard my wife in the conservatory just let out a bit of a cry, and obviously went in there. We found out that sadly her dad had got home, nobody was in the house, and he'd had a heart attack and passed away suddenly. So it's been a tough week. Been a tough week being there for my wife. You know, seeing her struggling and seeing her in pain has been difficult. And again, it goes back to mental health, the effects it has on me as well. But just watching my wife suffering, it's not been nice for either of us this week, to be honest. Been very, very difficult. How's that sound, guys? Just let me know, how's that sounding? Is the sound good on there? Just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So yeah, it was a tough week. She's had a few days off work, and she's going to be going back to the UK next week for the, thank you, cheers for that. She's going to be going back to the UK next week for a funeral on Wednesday the 29th. So she's booked the flights today. She's got the UK on Monday, back on the Thursday. So yeah, it's been a tough week. So I want to get that out of the way. And obviously, all my love goes out to my wife, because you know, I've lost parents. No, but nobody should have to lose a parent. It's not a nice thing. It's, at the end of the day, it's your mum, your dad. They're the people who raised you and brought you into this world, and it's always a difficult one to take as well. So it's been a tough week, but yeah, my thoughts go out to my wife, and she's an amazing woman, and seeing her struggling, seeing her suffering, has not been nice. On my own mental health this week, it's been a bit up and down. Like I say, you've all seen my videos over the week. I've been doing some, cheers Lisa, thanks for that. I've been doing some stand-up comedy this weekend. So I did 2 5-minute sets each night, but my material sort of ran about 6 or 7 minutes, so probably about 15 minutes. It's just shy of 15 minutes each night. It was for charity. It's for a dog charity out here, and over the 2 nights we raised the best part of €1,600. But first set was just a bit of an easy one, just to get to know my audience, and I found out we had a bit of a filthy audience, so I was able to step it up in the next part. So there was some good jokes in there, some husband and wife jokes in there, and the first, like I say, the Saturday night my wife wasn't there, but last night my best mate and his wife, who just came back from the UK on Saturday, they were able to be there. My wife was there as well. Last night was a mental one though, because it was a really, really, really busy crowd. We had a great crowd in, about 120 people in. And it was a tough crowd, to be honest. I started my first set and I went down to the audience to pick on a guy, and it was just like a brick wall. I was getting nothing from him, so he threw me for a few seconds. I had to drop a gag, because the gag I would have hit him with, I think it would have made the guy piss his pants, to be honest. So I had to let that one go. But going to mental health, the feeling that it gives me when I come off that stage, wow, it's just euphoric. And there was a guy there, he's a famous guy, I don't know if any of you have heard of him, his name's Lester Crabtree. He's a famous comic in the UK, he's worked with all the stars, now become a friend of mine. He was the compere for the night, so he was doing a set, and obviously me being the novice comedian was then having to go and try and follow that. And I got some great pointers from him. He gave me some great feedback, all positive. So we've now become friends. He's going to sort of mentor me a little way out here, and he's going to be doing some stand-up comedy out here at places that I know. My friend was there last night, so I think he's going to do a set at his pub. Once I'm more confident, in between his sort of 2 half-hour sets, if I can start doing a 10-minute set as well and just start gaining the experience. But it has always been a dream of mine to do stand-up. But speaking to Lester last night, and he said to me, a lot of stand-up comedians suffer greatly with mental health, and I have read that. And it is understandable, because most people suffer with mental health. The person you see on the outside, like we said last week, is not the person you see on the inside. So being up on that stage, being the clown, being the centre of attention, and being that bloke who just wants to keep the room happy, because if everyone's happy, you're in a happy place, and I totally get it. And he said the feeling that you get as a comedian coming off that stage is absolutely amazing, and it's like a euphoria. You know, I actually came in on Saturday night. Like I said, my wife didn't go Saturday night. I came in and I just walked in the door and I was just absolutely bouncing. I mean, I made a short video outside. My dog was barking like an idiot because Daddy was home. And I got in the house and I just said to her, "This is obviously it's one of the best nights of my life." And that might sound a bit exaggerated. Obviously, best nights of life when your kids are born, you get married, and all kinds of things. But on a personal level, on a personal feeling level, it was one of the best nights of my life, because for me to put myself out there, for a guy who suffers immensely with mental health, to go out there on a stage, and I have only done it once before, about 6 months ago, and sadly a few weeks after that we got the news of my son, so it curtailed everything a little bit. So to get back to it and do it again on Saturday night and get that feeling back, just that feeling. And like I say, I don't take any medication for my mental health. I've tried that and it absolutely balls me up. But that, standing on that stage, making the audience laugh, and really making them laugh as well. I mean, I actually really made these people laugh. Pamela Lynn, yeah, it's true. A lot of comedians have got depression or mental health issues, but making them people laugh and coming off that stage, you know, the nerves you've got going on, I mean, literally, I could have pissed my pants. I mean, you're literally so nervous. And, you know, normally I'm the sort of guy, I come into a room and I'm skipping into a room. I sort of go up on that stage and I feel like I'm not putting my left foot in front of the right foot because the nerves are just eating me up. You get on the stage and I got that mic and I jumped off the stage the first time and I chatted to a bloke, and it was just a little bit of interaction, just a little quick joke, and it got the room going, and then the nerves go and you're in your zone. And speaking to Lester last night, he said there's no better place for a comedian than when you're on that stage and you're making them people laugh. Can I just ask everybody as well to share my live and try and invite some more friends as well. And I will be putting this on my Facebook, so anyone who goes on my Facebook, please like and subscribe. My YouTube, sorry. Go onto my YouTube channel. It is on my profile. It is on there. If you can please go on there and go onto my YouTube channel and like and subscribe, that would be absolutely fantastic. As you all know, my plans with the homeless, which we spoke about last week, this is all going to tie in my TikTok, my YouTube. I want to get as many followers, as many subscribers as I can. I want to start raising the funds to go to the UK and do the thing what I plan to do with the homeless. So that's what I want to do. But I want to know who we got here, and I want to know how everyone else's week's been. You know, how's everyone been? What's everyone been up to? Do tell me. I really do want to know what your lives are like, what you've been up to. Laura Askey, I hope you're well. I am well, but like I say, I've had a few tough days. My days haven't as been tough as my wife's, as you know. Like I've just said, she sadly lost her dad on Wednesday night last week, and he was a lovely man, a very, very, very nice man. Did a lot in his community for charities, did a lot with the local political party. He was a very, very well respected man, really, really good guy. And it was a bit of a shock on Wednesday night when I came off my live and we got that news. So it's been a tough week for my wife, it's been a tough week for me. We are hoping to just obviously move. Thanks, Tess. Yeah, it is sad to hear, but you know, we all lose people, and it is. Yes, she did, Laura Lou. Yes, she did. Sadly, it was last Wednesday when I was on here live. I got off here, and about 50 minutes later, we got a phone call that he'd been found tragically. Sadly, he passed away. So, yeah, it was a tough week for both of us. But like I say, as a unit, me and my wife, we've got a great, strong unit, and I'll get her through it. She'll get through it, and you know, he was immensely proud of his daughter. Was Kay's dad. He was immensely proud of her, what she's achieved as a woman. You know, she's a businesswoman. She runs her own businesses with me, and you know, she's achieved very good things in her life. She's an amazing person, and her father was immensely proud of her, and I tell her that all the time. I've connected to you both since the JG kids. Laura Lou, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So yeah, he was immensely proud of her, and it was a tough few days. Thursday was a very, very tough day for her. She was really not in a good state. On Thursday night, I picked her up from my mum's, brought her home. She went to bed about 20 to 5 and slept till the next morning, 10 past 8, which she needed. And she sort of started to come out the other side then. But she's being strong at the moment. Like I say, she's back to the UK next week, next Monday, for 4 days for a funeral. So yeah, we'll get through that. And we sort of move on, and why is the funeral on hold? You know, we don't know. This is just what we've been told. Apparently, things are taking a little bit longer in the UK. All we know is he was found on Wednesday, and the funeral is until next Wednesday. So we were told about a week and a half to 2 weeks. So That's all I know. I don't think there's no odd reason or anything. It's just things are taking a bit of a process at the moment. So, but yeah, so weekend was good for me with the stand up. Went really well, and then last night went really well. Raised a lot of money for charity. Got to meet Lester, who's an absolute great guy. Got to meet a talent agent as well, a lady called, what was her name? Carla Stone. She's a singer out here, but also a talent agent. She immediately asked for my details, so all things are great for me, all things are great. Again, I am just at the beginning of my journey, but it is the best medicine. Like I say, I don't take medicine for my mental health. I have tried that and it absolutely fucked me up. I mean, it really just messed me up. But that the other night, coming off that stage, that feeling, that pride, that excitement, that buzz, that euphoria, it was just like, it's like a shot in the arm, like just a big boost, a big shot of adrenaline, like a medicine. And for that 10 minutes afterwards, my mind is just at its best. So as you can imagine, I want more of it. I want more and I want more and I want more. So I'm now getting my name out. I'm going to start doing, more of it, a lot more of it. And living where we live in this part of Spain, there's plenty of places, plenty of bars, plenty of clubs, plenty of places always looking for people just to do George's funeral. George's funeral. I don't know, but apparently it's been cancelled, I believe, on Friday. It's been cancelled on Friday. So that's what I've been led to believe. Laura's Key. Yes, Laura's Key. Apparently, I don't know. I just read myself. I've not really been covering the case. I've just been trying to respect the family. I know there's lots and lots of other people out there online, YouTube, still talking about it, speculating. Seen a lot of vicious comments. A lot of people just talking absolute bullshit. I've tried to stay away from that. I initially covered the initial part of the search because obviously we were working closely with the family. We had the respect and we respect the family, but we don't want to tarnish John's memory. We don't want to upset the family by just sitting on here talking about John George, when at the moment nobody knows who's done it. We're all presuming it's these two characters. Nobody knows really the ins and outs of it. The police seem to not be giving anything away. All I know is that the funeral was supposed to be Friday. I believe his body was supposed to be arriving home today. That's all I know. We're respecting the family's wishes and giving them a little bit of space. We have had some messages from them, obviously with my wife losing her dad. We have had some messages of support and they're sending their wishes. But at the moment, we're just respecting their wishes and trying to keep it low-key where the John George case is concerned, because like I say, there's far too many people still talking about it, and a lot of it, they're just repeating the same old stuff, and we just want to respect the family and just give them some time to breathe. If anything comes up that we feel the people need to know about or we need to correct, we'd speak to the family first and ask them if it's okay if I can do it, and then I would give some people some information. But at the moment, we are just letting the family have the time that they need. Did you go to Memorial Casada yesterday? Aidan, I didn't. Our friend Danielle, who was helping on the search as well, she arranged it. I know, yeah. She took our flowers from the place where we took them, the wrong place, and took them up to the original site where John was found. Like I say, I was doing stand-up last night. We would have loved to have gone, but I couldn't. And this is a gig that's been booked in for many months, and it was for charity. But we did have someone take flowers up there for us, and we did get a recording of it, and it was amazing to see. Yes, the truth will come out, Tess, eventually. I'm sure it will. But yeah, Aidan, we didn't manage to go. I would love to have gone, because it's something that meant quite a lot to us. But yeah. So listen, going back to mental health, guys. So my weekend with the stand-up's been pretty good, but I have had a few down days in between. Friday, I was really struggling. I got up Friday morning, and I just felt I was in this hole. Like in this really big hole, and obviously I had to be strong. So you're sort of like 2 or 3 different personalities at the same time. When I got up that morning, we're just bouncing, and I was angry, and somehow I managed to hold that anger in. I managed to hold that anger in because obviously I needed to be strong for my wife. And like I say, she got up on the Friday morning after finally having a lot of sleep, and it was just so tough seeing her. And I got up my usual self, happy. Then I saw her sad, and then I felt a different emotion of sadness. Then I sat down and I felt this anger because I felt helpless, if you know what I mean. I felt helpless because I just wanted to wrap her up in my arms, tell her everything was going to be okay and that, she would be fine. But at that time, she wasn't feeling fine. She was feeling so sad, and I just felt so helpless, and that just absolutely messed with my mind. And I don't mean that, I don't want that to make it sound like this was all just about me. It wasn't. I'm just talking about mental health in this respect. And I went off to work, and I had the shittiest morning till about 11:45. I had a few customers come in, a few repairs to do, and I just couldn't be bothered. I just felt like one customer came in, didn't have a smile on his face, and the sun was shining. It was a lovely day on Friday out here in Spain. It was by about 11:45, it was about 14, 15 degrees. It hit about 23 in the afternoon. So as you can see where the day was going, it was getting warmer and warmer. This guy come in with this fucking face on him, and he just came in and he just rude and ignorant, and how the hell I kept it. I mean, how the hell I didn't just jump over the table and throttle him. And that is a day-to-day feeling that I get. So I have to pat myself on the back for not doing it. But God, even now looking back, I wish I just grabbed hold of this bloke. And then we had a customer come in, a regular customer, and the first thing she said, where's Kay? How is she? And I said, I told her the news. And this customer actually shed a tear. I mean, that's how well thought of Kay is. This customer shed a tear. And do you know what she turned around and said to me? And how are you coping, Jay? And I just felt myself, I could feel myself going. I was, don't go. Don't let it go. Don't let it go. And I didn't let it go. She went. I've not told my wife this, and I'm not sure if she's watching now. I know she's in the conservatory, I know she's doing her own things. But I had to close the door. I had to have a little cry. And I let it out. And again, like I normally do, I went back and opened the door, sorted myself out, opened the door, and then again, I was okay. Just want to be in my own thoughts. Yeah, I get you, Sarah. Sometimes you do, but sometimes as well, when I'm in my own thoughts, that's the worst place I can be. Sometimes for me, it's best for me to be around somebody, to hopefully bounce off somebody who's in a good mood, so I can latch onto their good mood and drag me out of the hole that I'm in. But I do get you. Sometimes, yeah, my wife will say, you fancy going here, you fancy going there, and I go, no, I'm gonna stay. I'm just gonna chill out. You go out, you take our son out, take the dogs out or something, and that's just because I want to be in my own space. You suffer with depression, Sarah. You suffer with depression, anxiety. Yeah, I get you. Dealing with people sometimes it is tough, especially when them people. I mean, like you say, I suppose it's narcissistic of us all to think that everyone can walk in a room and just naturally spot, the suffering. We don't wear a badge. Usually we're wearing a smile. Usually we've got a glint in our eye. Usually what's on the outside is not what's going on the inside. So for us to expect people to know what's going on, they don't. So we can bump into somebody that can be in a right foul mood. But then I also think to myself, we don't know what they're going through. That guy who came in my shop, he could be having one of them days. But at the time when I'm in that sort of 15, 20 minute hole, that bit of an episode that I feel like I'm having, I'm not really thinking about him. I'm thinking about me and just getting through the next 15, 20 minutes, because I know it's going to switch. I know it's just going to trip again and I'm going to go into another personality. So, it's hard to get people to understand how it makes us feel. Laura, you're absolutely spot on. And no matter how you tell people, sometimes you feel like you're banging a drum. Sometimes you feel like I'm just whinging. And my wife's just joined, hello, okay. But I'm going to go back to a bit of a personal situation of mine over the last week or so. Let me just have a drink of water before I go into this one. So I play football, and I took a little short video last week of me about to play football, and it all sort of kicked off at the football, and it didn't sort of go too well. I had a bit of a crossword with one of our players. Nothing really major, but again, I have that many personalities that someone only has to say something wrong to me. I think if he probably looks back on it, he was probably out of order. I just asked a simple question of him, and I just got an absolute mouthful, so I just reacted the way I do, and I told him where to go, blah, 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 blah. And since then, I've just sort of stepped away from the team. But I've only been with this team for several months, and some great guys there. There's some really great guys there, but what I find is struggling to maintain friendships, like I've told you. Hello, Betty. Thank you very much. Struggling to maintain friendships, and what I've done over the last few days is I've spoken to a couple of the guys from the team, and one guy in particular, Gavin. He's a great guy. I actually travelled to the football with him last Wednesday, and we had a chat on the way back, and I just said to him, a lot of people don't sort of understand me. They just see this big guy, this big 6 foot guy, big 17.5 stone guy, and they just presume, covered in tattoos, bald head beard, very, very masculine looking guy, quite loud, quite robust at times, depending on what personality I am. And they just presume that I'm some kind of thug or some kind of animal or something. And I just said to this guy in the car, I said, people need to know the real me. He said, but you've got to explain that. I said, I can't explain that. So I decided last week, after I'd done my live, and I put it on my YouTube channel, and if anyone's joining, please go onto my YouTube channel, please subscribe and like any of my videos on there from the John George case. Everything I do on here is going to go on there. And I spoke to this guy, and I just said, I've got a way of doing it. So I put my video on the YouTube channel, and I asked one of the guys, because I left the WhatsApp group, I wasn't in the space to speak to the guys, I was in that space where I just thought, you know what, fuck the lot of you. That's what I thought, fuck the lot of you. I don't need you, I don't need your shit. And right there and then I didn't need that. You know, it was on the Wednesday I played the football. Sadly that night we had the tragic news of my wife's husband. I'd done the live, and then we were into Thursday. So I decided to get one of the guys on my behalf to share my YouTube link of the video I made last week, my first one about mental health. And I got told last night off my best mate at the stand-up show, come to watch. He said 75% of the guys in the team have watched that video, and it really shocked them. He said it really shocked them. And another guy I spoke to, Phil, he said, yep, he'd seen it, and he was full of praise for me. And again, he was another one I just didn't realise, you know. And one of my friends had said, the guys had just said, I just didn't realise. It explains a lot of things, you know, how sometimes I can be, what's that word, unapproachable. If, you know, and I'm not unapproachable because I'm a horrible guy. I'm just, if I'm having a bit of an episode, I will still go to places. You know, football for me is a release when I'm playing football, and I've played at a decent level most of my life. So when I'm playing football and I'm on that pitch, it's just me, the striker, scoring goals, and I'm having fun, and I'm arguing with the refs, but I never cross that line. I always know where to go, and that's my safe space. That's my haven when I'm on a football pitch. So for somebody to diss me in one of the breaks on a football pitch for something I haven't done, and I've got up that morning, whatever personality I'm in, could be one of many, and then for us to have that little confrontation, I left football that day feeling just, these aren't my kind of people. Like I said last week, it's very easy for me to just suddenly go, do you know what? Fuck you. I don't want to be your friend, and just leave it be. But this team means a hell of a lot to me. The guys in the team are great guys, and it's a football team I want to be part of. It's a social side of people that I want to be part of. I like the guys. I like the bar we go to afterwards. I like the guys involved. I like the crack when we're playing football. And rather than just do what I normally do and go, do you know what? I'm not going back. I'm going to go find another football team. I'm a decent player. I'll soon get into a team. Yeah, that's all right. But then what happens in a few months' time when somebody has a crossword of me and I go, oh, fuck off. And I go storming off. What do? Do I just put another video out there to tell them how I'm feeling and just fuck them off? No. So that's what I did. I sent the video. The guys have seen it, majority of them have anyway. I was in the supermarket tonight in Consum, just picking up some groceries before I went home after work. Bumped into one of the guys, Gavin, who I mentioned earlier, and I just said, how are you doing? And he was like, fine, we've got a committee meeting tomorrow. He said, it's going to be an interesting meeting tomorrow, mate. He said, we will be discussing you. He said, and I'll give you a bell later on. He said, but, you know, your videos went down well. It went down well, in the sense of it explains a lot. You know, it explains a lot. And that's good. And so I can't believe I've done it. I mean, to a bunch of guys playing football, I mean, we're all over 50s, it's walking football, it's for old men. A lot of us have played decent level over the years, you know, when we were younger, but now we're all just old men. We just go for the fun. We go to kick a bit of leather around, let a bit of steam off, scream and shout at each other, hug in the pub afterwards, have a few beers and go home to our wives and just know that we've had a good day out and we've enjoyed it. But sometimes I go to football like the other day and I came home feeling far off enjoying it. So I've got the guys to put the video on the WhatsApp group, and it has been watched by quite a lot of them, and a lot of them have sort of said it explains a lot now. It really, really, really explains a lot. So I'm pleased they've seen it, because now it's very hard for me to stand in front of another human being, whether it's man, woman or beast, and try and explain in 5 or 10 minute conversation to people my issues. But by doing that video last week and by talking about my issues, I was able to get my message across perfectly. Has he come to chat with you since this happened, Jay? Not yet. No, he hasn't. Listen, I ain't fell out with the guy. He's a nice enough guy. I ain't got a problem with. Listen, we live in a world where everyone's different. we're all different. You know, I'm Jay, you've got a John, you've got a Dave, you've got a Mick. Everybody's different, you know, and we can't be 100% connected to everybody. You know, some people you like them because you know, they're interesting. They might have a particular car you like, or someone wears a particular shoes like. Or there's always a conversation starter. You're not going to get on with everybody 100%. But when it comes to football and sports and groups, whether it be golf, football, darts, pool club, whatever, you've got to be able to get along with everybody to at least pass the time of day and say hello and not fall out. And he was out of order for his reaction to a simple request I made. But then I didn't help by being in one of my sort of personalities, a more aggressive personality, and basically just telling him to F off, you know. But telling him to F off was better than the alternative, you know, because the last thing I want to do is be getting fisticuffs with people and things like that, because then you're never going to be welcome back at football, you know, no matter what's going on in your head. And, you know, I never get to that stage. I never get to the stage where I attack someone or physically assault someone, but it was just, you know, it was a verbal assault back, and I just walked away. We didn't speak afterwards. He didn't come to the bar afterwards. And like I say, the video's gone out there and the guys have seen it, and it's explained a lot. So hopefully, once the meeting's done tomorrow, hopefully get back on the WhatsApp group. Guys know, we don't need to talk about it. At least the guys know then. So moving forward in the future, if the guys sort of see me, how you doing today, Jay? I can be honest and go, yeah, I'm all right, you know, or yeah, not one of them mornings, but, you know, cheers for asking, that kind of thing. At least people are going to be aware of it. So, okay, so just my wife trying to show me something. I'll deal with it later. But yeah, that's what happened to me with the football, and I do regret it. I wish looking back now, if it had been a different personality, I wish I could have just went this guy. I'm not going to say his name. I don't need to say his name. But I wish I'd just said, come here, let's just have a conversation. Shook his hand and go, listen, let's forget this. Let's move on. Let's get on that football pitch and let's beat this team. You know, and what made it worse is because my head went up my arse after that. At the end of the game, it wasn't a sitter, but is a ball that I put in 9 times out of 10, right inside the box, just inside the box, smashed it right across the keeper. Usually flies in the bottom corner. It hit the outside of the post and went out. Because I was in that much of a shitty mood, we drew 2-2. I should have scored it, and usually I'd be beating myself up at home for it. I wasn't asked, and that isn't me. That's why I knew that I can't be letting this thing get on top of me. You know, usually, even now, I'm not beating myself up about not scoring that goal and us winning the game. And it was only a friendly anyway, so it makes no odds. But usually to goal, I'd score 9 times out of 10. And I didn't, and I wasn't really bothered. I wasn't really that bothered, and that goes to show where my head was at the time. So even when I'm doing the things that I love, you know, I can still have them episodes right in the middle of a football game, and it only takes one wrong word from one person to trigger that off. We all have bad days, but still can't think it's okay to talk down to people. No, you're right, Mel. And he did talk down to me, but at the end of the day, I've heard a lot worse. So what I should have just said was, okay, and count to 10, and then give it a few minutes, and then went, right, can I speak to you now? And then if he wasn't ready to speak, I'd leave it go. But I'm not the kind of guy to let things go. Even when I'm happy-go-lucky, Jay, and I'm in a good place, I still can't let things go. I agree with you. It doesn't give people the right to talk down to you, but it wasn't so much talking down to me. He just gave me a reaction, like he thought I was maybe telling him what to do, and it was just a suggestion. It was just a direction on a football pitch. Every time I was trying to pass the ball to him, he was the wrong side of his man, so the defender was cutting out the pass. I just wanted him to step inside his man, because 2 or 3 times I tried that pass, and he probably would have got on the end of one of them and smashed one in. He's got a great foot on him. He scored some great goals, and he's a decent player. So it was just that, and he just basically, you concentrate on your own in game, and I just went off, and it just went like that, you know. So it was handbags really, but that little incident led to me leaving the group, walking away, telling everyone to shove it up their arse basically. I wasn't in the frame of mind, and that's just, you know, one of the incidents through my week, just one of the incidents, you know. So again, it just goes to show it can be up 1 minute and down the next minute. All right, listen, guys. I'd like to know where everyone is from. Lisa Jane, I'm sure you were on the other night, Lisa Jane. There's a lot of people on here who said they were coming on tonight, and I see you all there. I'm the same. Episodes are better one day and bad the next. Viv, if you don't mind me asking, what is it you suffer with, Viv? What is your issue? Have you ever had a diagnosis? And if you did, when was it? And how did that diagnosis come about? I'm interested in these things because You know, I want to know these things, and like I say, I can't always remember week to week to week. I'll remember faces, but the more we talk about these things, then the more we'll understand each other, if you know what I mean. Outskirts of Belfast, originally Lincolnshire. Okay, which part of Lincolnshire, Sarah? Sarah just got number 3. Kirsty Baxter. Good evening, Kirsty. Tess. Yes, Tess. Yes, what, Tess? Barnsley, right. Well, my mate who was at my show last night, Big Wazza, Big Wayne, he's from Barnsley. Grantham, yeah, I know Grantham pretty well, Sarah, but I know Barnsley. Belfast, yeah, we know where you're from, Lisa. Belfast. I heard your dulcet tones earlier on. Did you watch the inauguration? I got to take me after that guy, Donald Trump. What a guy. You know, I'm not going to be around in many years to come, but I'd like to think the history books are talking about Donald Trump in 300 or 400 years' time, the man who changed the world, because this world is in such a fucking shit state at the moment with what's going on. He'd come out with some great posts, some great things he'd come out with, you know. In the America now, from this day forward, we're only going to believe in 2 genders, male and female. Did you see the whole of the house stand up and applaud? You know, and then he was talking about, you know, ending wars, not starting wars, and the whole of the house stood up and applauded. What a guy. You know, this guy gets a lot of stick. He gets a lot of stick, but he talks a hell of a lot of sense. So, where are we? Lisa J, I'm interested in how to support others with mental health. No diagnosis myself. Okay. There's no easy way and hard way to support someone with mental health, really, Lisa. I mean, if you know somebody who needs help, like I said last week, all you've got to do is say them 4 words: I need some help. And you need to try and get people to ask for help. You need to, if you've got somebody who you feel is suffering, sometimes they won't speak. Sometimes it only needs for you to ask that question, and don't be afraid to ask that question. Don't be afraid to say to somebody, "Are you okay? Are you suffering a bit? Is there anything I can help you with?" If that person is genuinely suffering, I know what I'm like. If somebody asked me, like somebody came in my shop the other day, one of my customers, she said to me, "And how are you, Jay?" And I felt myself about to go. I could feel myself going because I knew I was struggling, and she asked me at a time when I was struggling. You know, so if you ask somebody and they don't say they're okay, that's fine. Take them at the word. But next time you see them, ask them again, "Are you okay?" Take them at the word. And one day you're going to catch them having a bad time, and you're going to ask them at just the right time, and you're going to give that person the opportunity to speak, and we hope to speak, and a lot of people will speak. For a lot of people, it's admitting it. And they're not going to come forward and admit it themselves. A lot of people, especially men, like we said, think it's not manly to say that you've got a mental health issue, that you haven't got it all together up there, and that this isn't functioning properly. You know, people use words like twisted, psycho, and things like that. I find them offensive. I use them sometimes myself when we're at home. Me and my wife are having conversations, and I make jokes of it, you know. And I say things like, "Fucking hell, I got up this morning, I felt like Psycho Jay." You know, we use little terms like, because I try and make light of it. But a lot of people suffer. And people use the wrong term to describe people who are suffering. But a lot of people who are suffering, and when they're suffering, they haven't got the strength to ask for that help, to say them 4 words, "I need some help." But I'm damn sure if you keep asking the right time, eventually you're going to catch them at a bad period, and they will open up. They'll say, "Actually, no, I'm struggling." And all you've got to do is just say, "Okay, talk to me, I'm listening." That's all you need to say. Just listen. Be an ear. You don't even have to give an opinion. You might not even know the answers yourself anyway. You don't have to give an opinion. If they ask for opinion, you can give them an opinion, but be there for them. Listen to them. And I'm telling you now, people who listen, they're worth the weight in gold. I mean, you guys listened to me last week, and I come off that live, and I went to my wife, "Wow." I said, "I had 40 odd people listening to my story tonight, and she went, I know. And I've watched it. I have watched it back a couple of times because I'm self-critical of myself. What do I look like on camera? I do move around a bit. I am quite a twitchy guy. I'm a very nervous guy. You'll probably notice that with me. But it was amazing that 40 odd people. I mean, we've had 40 odd people on here at some point tonight, and you know, we've been going just over half an hour, and that's people listening to me. So it means the world that people will listen to you and people are hearing your problems. So at least now, like you guys on here, in the future when I come on, you'll reckon, "Oh, there's Jay. He's an honest guy. He has some issues, but he's an honest guy," and you listen to me. Same as anybody you know has got any issues, listen to them. Just ask them. Keep asking them, Lisa. Keep asking them, Viv. Keep asking them. Who else we got? Sarah. Just ask your friends. You know, when you see them, "Are you okay? How's everything going?" You know, And if they ever tell you that they've got a problem and they're really struggling, just say, okay, let's put the kettle on, let's sit down, you talk, I'll listen. And you know what, that'll mean the world to somebody, that would mean the world. Got 30 new messages. I'm going to go through some of these messages. Lynn Andrews, hiya Lynn, how you doing? How's it back there in the UK and in the northeast, freezing? This lady we've known, Lynn Andrews, for the best part of, oh God, when did we meet Lynn? About 2011 possibly, Lynn. She was a very good friend of a friend of ours called Jennifer. Jennifer and Norman sadly both passed away now. We met a lady called Jennifer back in 2009 in Spain. She was sat in the pub with us. Bless her, she left her handbag behind, so me and my wife had the handbag, went through it, found her address, I rang her on her house phone because the mobile was in the bag, and we went over to her house, took her bag to her. She had all the documents and everything in there, and we met this lady called Jennifer and we became very, very good friends. And Lynn was, I believe you were a neighbour at the time, weren't you, Lynn? And I think you're living back in the UK now. And she's from the same area of the UK we're actually from, so we had a bit of a connection there. And I know my wife often talks to Lynn. So nice to see you on here, Lynn. Thanks for joining. Stacey, hiya Stacey. Kettle on, cup of tea is helpful. Viv, you're absolutely spot on. Do you know what? It's that old British thing, isn't it? Cup of tea, 2 sugars, and if you're a smoker, a couple of fags and a cup of tea. Sit outside, have a chin wag and just listen. It is a cup of tea. I'm not a tea drinker, I prefer a coffee. But to be honest, I love my water. I drink a lot of water, but yeah, a cup of tea. It's the English way, isn't it? The British way, as they say. A cup of tea and a chin wag, and everything will be all right. Let's see what else we've got on. So we've got Lynn. I've got my missus on. Cara Lee, feel better for speaking to strangers. Yeah, and I said this last week, Cara. Sometimes it's easier to speak to a stranger, you know. And you get situations in life where you could be. I'm trying to think of a situation. You're in your car. You're trying to get into a parking space, and there's some guy giving it all this effing this and effing that and all that, and he's having a bad day. I've stopped raging back at him now because I sometimes think to myself, that could be me tomorrow. That could be me in that car, shaking my fist at some fella because I want that parking space. That could be me, he's having a bad day. Now, it could be a stranger, you know, but sometimes, are you okay, mate? Are you okay, mate? You know, rather than reacting to it. Because, you know, you'd be surprised just how many people struggle in this world, how many people are suffering with mental health, how many people are suffering with grief, anxiety, depression, social anxiety is a big one. You know, it's not something I used to really be aware of when I was younger, but as I'm getting older now, as I'm more aware of my mental health, and I know that, I said this last week, I'm one odd fucker to be around at times. I say to my wife, you know, how do you live with me? How have you not killed me yet? And I say that in jest, but there's a lot of truth in that. Like, you know, how have you never like just smothered me in my bloody sleep or something, you know, because I'm a nightmare to be around, and I know I'm a nightmare to be around at times. So because I'm aware of that, and because now I'm aware of my diagnosis and my illness, going to places, knowing sometimes I wake up in a bit of a bad mood, I get that social anxiety, I get them butterflies before I go out, and I get that feeling where I'm like, I don't want to go. I wasn't going to go this week and do the comedy thing, mainly because of what had happened this week with my wife and a dad. I wasn't going to go because I wanted to be with her, but I said it to her and she went, no, you're going. This is you got to go. I'm not going to come tonight, but I will be coming on Sunday night. And I went and did it, and I'm glad I did it. But there was also the other side of it as well, where, because I'd had a bad day Friday and I didn't really speak about it to my wife. You know, she was dealing with her own problems. I just didn't feel it. I wasn't feeling it. Even Saturday afternoon, I went into my office and I had my script on my phone, all my jokes and everything. I went into the office to print it off, and I was sat in the office and I was trying to find an excuse not to go. Social anxiety. But I'm glad I did go. And it was a thoroughly wonderful weekend. Some great things come out of it for me. But that's just, you know, social anxiety. It's one of them things. Have you seen Youngblood rap it on here? He writes songs about mental health. He's amazing, the UK guys. I've never seen him release it, Jane, but can you, because I will forget that, can you do me a favour, just send me a message on my TikTok and just put a link for him on there? I would like to listen to that. I may well have seen him, to be honest. I may well have done. I'm one of 10.5 of us have mental health. Wow, 1 of 10.5 you've got mental health. Viv, if you don't mind me asking, best way to put this, I'm going to be honest, I'm just going to be, like I said, we all got to be honest. Was this something that, because half of your siblings, brothers and sisters, suffering from mental health, is this because of something that happened when you were all younger? You know, was it something to do with a parent or the way you were treated or anything like that? Listen, if that's too much of a personal question, you're welcome to message me. But I know my issues stem from abuse as a child. And like I have said in weeks, I will go into that more. I'm never going to divulge the details of what happened to me, but childhood abuse is one of the main factors why people develop and suffer with borderline personality disorder, borderline BPD. And your dad died in a car crash when he was 37. Whoa, Viv, that's a tough life. That's tough to deal with. So you'll have only been a young girl, I take it, Viv, maybe early teens or something like that. Viv, my heart goes out for you. That is that's horrendous. If you don't mind me asking now, Viv, how old are you now? And how old were you when you lost your dad? And if you'd like to tell me what, 7-year-old, wow. So what impact did that have on your life, Viv? I mean, obviously it had a very, very difficult negative impact at times, and I can imagine, because boys are mummy's boys. I mean, I was raised by my grandma most of my life. My dad didn't really give a shit, and my stepmom was just an evil bitch. But my grandma, I was like a grandma's boy. Boys tend to be mummy's boys, and girls tend to be daddy's girls. So being a 7-year-old little girl losing a daddy, I bet that was immensely tough for you. I'll message you. He's a lovely bloke from Blackpool who enjoys music. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, I will. Just send me the link in my messages. You did say, what was he called? What did you say he was called? That guy, I'm just going to have a look. Youngblood the rapper. Okay, I'm not mad on rap, but I don't mind rap if it's... I'm not into American rap, all this stuff about guns and hoes and all that kind of shit, it just does nothing for me, that. 63 now, it was so bad, I went into care, couldn't cope at home when sexual abuse, brothers. Wow. Viv, that is horrific. That is horrific. And I bet there's times through your life growing up, I bet you were angry with the world as well, because that world took your father, and that man would have been the man who protected you, wouldn't he? The sexual abuse and any kind of abuse, that's the one person in this world that would have protected you, and because the way this world is so cruel, he was taken away from you at such a young age. So my heart goes out to you. Do you know what I'm going to say though, Viv? Thank you very much for being honest and opening up to me there, because that must have took a hell of a lot. And yeah, I don't want to go into that too much, because I know I can imagine it's a very, very, very painful experience still. I mean, you're 63 now, so you were 7, so the best part of 56 years ago. I mean, I'm only 53, so it was, about 68 it happened? 1968, something like that. Your dad passed away, am I right or wrong? Something like that. So it's a long time ago, but I bet you live that moment every single day. But thank you for sharing that. That was, I'm quite proud of you for sharing that, actually. Still don't trust being around men who don't know. Yep, I get that. And I bet from that comes quite a lot of social anxiety, what we were talking about. I bet you get very socially anxious when you go into functions, maybe weddings or parties, or even just a local bar or a restaurant or cafe, and there's going to be men there. I can imagine you get social anxiety from that. Have a look on for a guy called Ren. He's usually good, songs about mental health. Lynn, can you send me the link of that in my message, please? Yeah, my sister was 6, so I bet you and your sister are close. Tell me I'm right or am I wrong? I bet you and your sister are very close. I tell you what, I bet you've had some scraps over the years, you and your sister, though, that age. I bet you did, but I can imagine, even though there's a year between you, I bet you were more like her mum. I bet you were. I can just imagine it. But that's no age to lose a parent. It's no age. And as well, at 7-year-old, you're fully aware you've developed that relationship with your dad. I know young children, a year old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, can lose parents, and obviously it's difficult in life growing up without a parent, but when you've got to 6, 7, 8-year-old and you've developed a strong relationship with a father, and like I say, young girls tend to build strong relationship with daddies. They become daddy's girls and apple of daddy's eye. Then that must have been immensely difficult. 8 brothers, me and a sister. Wow, 8 brothers. I never met my dad. He died 17 years ago. Mum remarried when I was 6 months old, and he's my dad for 40. So he's your dad. Like I said this tonight to my wife sometimes. Blood doesn't make you family, if you know what I mean. I mean, I've got members of family out there in the world who I've not spoken to for the best part of 25 years, and you know what? Just the only thing they are to me is blood. The best family aren't always the ones that are blood. And that's true. That is definitely true. 6 months old. 6 months old, I can't get my head around that. Yeah, and I've always called him Dad, never Step. He took me on and my sister. Well, do you know what? Fair play to him, because you know what? It's never difficult for any man. There's a lot of proud men out there, sort of, I don't want to bring up anyone else's kid. Well, you know, anyone can be what you call a sperm donor, but to be a real dad, to be a real father is it takes a lot. You know, people say it takes a lot to take on someone else's children. It does, but if you're a good guy, if you're a kind-hearted guy, and you love the woman, you will love the children as well. You know, them children are part of that woman. So fair play to him, and that's a great story. That, you know, you never got to meet your dad, but you call him Dad, and he's your dad. He is your dad, and hat off to him. I bet he's a great guy as well. I bet he's a great guy. So come on, guys, I need you to tell me a little bit more about yourselves. I've heard Viv's story, and it's very tragic. And I'm amazed that you shared that with us. I'm off now, but my mum and dad died when I was really young and grew up in care. Mel, that's a tragic story. How old were you when your mum and dad died? If you don't mind me asking. Who else we got on here now? Cara Lee. Good evening, Cara. I only found out when I was 6. So you grew up without your dad, and you found out when you were 16. You found out when you were 16. It was difficult to accept, but you respect him so much for being there. Yeah, but you know, sometimes some kids, you know, they made a call on that one to either tell you when you were young or not tell you, and they told you when you were 16. I suppose it was a shock, but I'm sure you're over that now, and I'm sure you don't resent them. Like you say, he's been your dad. He's been your dad for the best part of, you're 42 now, so most of your life. Yeah, Cara, I do know some of your story. I do. Lindsay, hiya, Jay. Thank you. Hiya, Lindsay. 7, I'm told, by social services. So, and what was the circumstances of losing your dad? Do you know them, Mel? If you don't have to tell me if you don't want to, I understand that. Evening, Lucy. So, come on, guys, what have you been up to this week? Since we last spoke on Wednesday, what have you been up to? I know a lot of you guys come on here because, like me, you're suffering from mental health, and you don't always get that chance to talk. This is your chance to talk, you know. What I am going to be looking for, I'm going to be doing another live on Thursday night, similar to this. But then one day next week, I'd like somebody, if they're brave enough, to come on a live with me. We'll get you on, and we'll have a chat, and we'll ask some questions, and we'll get a bit of a dialogue going, and, you know, and hopefully we can help someone but if they're honest enough to come on and speak, you'll feel what I feel when I come on here. It is like a therapy session for yourself. Lost your mum when you were 13. You've got 8 brothers and 1 sister. It was very tough. Betty, that's a very similar story to what Viv earlier. She was 7 when she lost her dad, and she has 8 brothers and a sister. So you two have got a hell of a lot in common, you and Viv. That must have been very tough for you, Betty. What they look like, that's it. You can't remember a lot. Do you have any memories of your dad, Mel? Do you have any sort of photographs of him, what he looks like and things like? Have you got anything that belonged to him? Have you got anything connecting you to him? You know, been spending money I've not got, for fuck's sake. Sarah, you're having a manic period. Yep, I've been there. I still do now. You know, the summer will come, and when I'm busy in the summer and I've got cash in my pocket, I just go out and spend it, and I forget about the bill I've got next week. You know, I'll be okay, I'll make some more. And then if you don't, and it's quiet at work, and you don't make the money, then you're thinking, shit, you know, I might have got all these nice shoes, I've got all these nice tracksuits, these nice t-shirts and shorts and sunglasses and flip-flops and shit I didn't need because I've got another 30 pairs upstairs. But that's a manic period. You're spending money you've not got. This is what we were talking about last week with the bipolar, with the borderline personality disorder. You know, you're in a manic period where you're so happy. When you're happy, you just do mental things that make you even happier. And if you've still got the tags on them, if it's clothing, if you've still got the tags on them, go take them back, because I can assure you, when that manic period goes, in a few days, a few weeks, take them back. If you can't afford them, take them back. Or if it's on plastic, cut the card up. That's my best advice on that one. You and Kay are so caring for others. We're caring people, to be honest. we've had a lot of kicks in life. Both of us, a lot of kicks in life over recent years. We've lost a lot of close people to us. I lose a lot of friends. We've had a lot of tough times to go through in recent years, and although at times we've bickered and we've argued like most couples do, it always seems to bring us closer together. And we are a strong bond, and we are caring people, to the right people. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who wouldn't give you the steam off the piss, and you realise that pretty quickly, and you think to yourself, there's care, and then there's just being taken the piss out of, and we meet a lot of people like that who we would do things for, and it's happened to us recently. It's happened to my wife recently, where someone who she thought was a close friend of best part of 5 or 6 years really, really deeply hurt her, and if we hadn't have found out the things we found out when we did, that pain would have been terminal for us. It could have really affected our businesses and things. So yeah, and it hurt my wife, and she was dealing with all that, and then she got the bad news on Wednesday. So yeah, we are caring people. We will do anything for anyone. If I've got £1 in my pocket and you need it, I'll give you it. If your need is better than mine, then I'll give you it. I'm always here to chat. My wife's always here to chat. And that's what I've said. Anybody on here, my wife is on here. You'll see her. There she is there, Kay. She's got bright red hair. She's a beautiful, amazing woman. Just go on there, follow her. If you ever want to chat, she's always there to listen to as well. Trust me, if there's nothing she doesn't know about mental health and episodes, manic periods, sad periods, depressions, anger, she lives with me. She's lived with me for many, 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 many years, and she knows a lot. If there's what she doesn't know and what she hasn't seen is not worth knowing and seeing, and I can guarantee you that. My missus suffers a hell of a lot with me. I mean, there's times where we can be in the car driving along, and she'll just say something, and I'll just lose my shit. It's her fault, and I will shout at her, and I will scream at her, and I'm not proud of it, and I do apologise. I'm forever apologising. Like I said last week, we go through the ups, we go through the downs, but you always go through that apologetic period for a few hours, a few days, where you're feeling guilty. But when you've done that, you go into this bit of a low, and when you're in that low, you feel sorry for yourself. You love how I speak about it. It's a lovely relationship. It is an amazing relationship we've got. We call each other all sorts, but it's just fun. She calls me arsehole, bastard. I always, she'll say things like, she'll come down and she'll say things like, do you like this outfit? And I'll go, no, you look like a fucking tramp, get up them stairs. And she'll go, she'll laugh at me, because that's just our banter. It's just our banter, and she always looks good. I'll tell you a little story, actually. We're in Primark once, and my wife's not big. She's probably, at the time, she was like a size 10. She's probably about an 8 now because of the stress she's had recently. She's lost a bit of weight. She's probably about an 8, but she's about a 10. We're in Primark. She just wanted some skinny jeans. We're about 5-6 quid in Primark. This has gone back 12 years, and we're just in there, and she picks up these jeans, and they were a size 10. She went, "Oh, do you like these? They look nice." And just our crack, and I just turned around and went, "Yeah, but I think you might need to get a couple of sizes down to get your arse in them." And before we even had a chance to laugh between ourselves, this lady leaned over, and this lady went, she's laughing now, my missus, she knows what's coming. This woman said, she leaned over to my wife, she went, "Do you know what I'd do, love? If my husband spoke to me like that, I'd leave the bastard." And my wife just knocked me for 6. She turned out the woman, said to the woman, "Do you know what I'd do if I was your love?" She said, "I'd keep your fucking nose out." And the look on my face, I just looked at my wife and I was like, wow, because that is our banter. Lynn, you're laughing because, Lynn, you had to be there. The lady was mortified, Kay, she was, yeah. She was absolutely mortified. And like I say, you don't stick your beak into people's relationship. That is us. Sometimes I'll come in from work, "How are you doing, you bastard?" She'll say, "I'm all right, you wanker." This is our crack. This is how we get on. This is how we are. And we're like that most of the time. Lindsay, it's brilliant. It's a laugh a minute. I always like to laugh. We always like to laugh. But, I'm like a child. I'll walk through the house and I'll fart, and we'll laugh about it. We're grown adults, but it's just the way we are. It's the way we are. But yeah, you had to be there that day in Primark. I mean, it was just a cheap pair of jeans. You don't want to know what he's done in my phone. Yeah, we'll not go into all of that. But you had to be there. You had to see this woman's. I mean, the look on this woman's face. I mean, we didn't look like we do now. I mean, I'm covered in ink. Arms, my legs are done. My wife, she's got most of it. You can see her on her profile. She's got tattoo on her face. She's got a lot of her neck done. She's got all her arms. We've spent thousands in recent years. We're not clubbers. We don't drive fancy cars. We're always going on holiday. We work hard. We spend our time together. And we always decided when we were old we were going to get ink. So we didn't look like we did then. You know, we had a couple of little small tattoos on our body. We just like, no, I had hair then, no beard. You know, she had black hair, she didn't have red hair, she wasn't covered in ink. I mean, God, if we'd have said that to that woman now, I think she'd have pissed her pants, because she'd look at us thinking, Jesus. You know, we walk through supermarkets here and people look at us like we're freaks. Seriously, because where we live in Spain, most of the people are pensioners. You know, there's a lot. I call them the blue rinse crew. That's just, I've always called pensioners the blue rinse crew, because you see all the ladies with blue rinse. When a lady came in my shop last week, it was almost purple, and I had to sit there with a straight face while I was dealing with this lady for 20 minutes. Lovely lady, but she had, it was all purple, blue, almost purple. I wouldn't let you get on the wrong side of it. Honestly, Lindsay, I am a pussycat. My wife puts me in my place, and that's good, because when I get out of hand, she'll tell me in a situation. She'll say to me, "Stop being a knob. How did we meet?" That's a good one, actually. Here's the story how we met. So I was, Kay was working in a bar. She's amazing behind the bar. So she's working in this bar, and I walked in with my mate. And as I walked in, I was walking out. I was floating when I walked in, because I'd got some new shoes and I got a new shirt. You always feel great when you're going out. We'd only been out an hour. We'd had a good time, me and my friend. Walked in this bar, and there was Kay working behind this bar. And I just seen her, and I just looked at her, and like I say, there's 10 years between me and Kay. And seen her and clocked eyes with her, and I went to the bar and I got a couple of drinks, and I just asked her what her name was, and she said her name. And I went and sat down to my mate, and I said, "I like her, she's a nice girl." I said, she's my kind of girl. And Kay actually had a sleeve. It was like an old, like, tribal she had. It's all been covered over now, amazingly, but at the time it was tribal, and it was quite out there. It was quite garish in your face. I remember looking at her, thinking, God, I bet she's got some attitude. And then what I witnessed next was out of this fucking world, if you excuse the language. But there was this guy at the bar being an absolute tool. And I was at the other end of the bar, and I very rarely stand at the bar, but we did stand at the bar, because I was just stood, not perving at her, because I'm not a perv, but I was staring at her, looking at her, sort of trying to check her out without her seeing me checking her out. And this guy at the end of the bar was being an absolute dick. And he was setting his lip up, and she literally just grabbed this guy from the other side of the bar and lifted him onto the bar and leaned over. I don't know what she said. It was probably words to the effect of asking him to leave, and he wouldn't leave. So she clicked her fingers, the bouncer come over, lifted this guy, took him out, and he was a regular. And I went and got another drink, and I said to her, basically I told her it was impressive and all that, and I asked her for a number. And she said, "What you doing later on?" And I said, "Well, me and my friend are going to this particular place." She went, "Well, I finish at about 12:30. Why don't I come and join you?" And that was it. She came, she turned up. Wow, she just her hair was done, the tattoo was out, she had all these clothes, these big boots on. She just looked so, I don't know, just amazing. And that, she's always looked amazing to me. So that's how we met, and we've been together ever since. We got married in 2012. It was just a small wedding with very close family and friends. Registry office. We weren't bothered about all the big fancy horses and carts, wasting money and all that kind of thing. Best thing you. Of course it is, darling. You scored when you met me, didn't you? But that's how we met. So whoever was that who asked how we met there? My muscles. My muscles aren't how they used to be, though. To be honest, I've not been to the gym a lot lately. We've been very, very busy. Your husband's in a care home, Cara. How old is your husband, Cara? If you don't mind me asking. But she does love my muscles, yeah. But she loves my bald head. I'm going to tell you a story. I grew my hair back last year. And if you look on Kay's profile, you'll see a picture of us. We're in Mazaron. It's about 2 hours from here. We'd had a football tournament. It was the first night when Fury and Usyk fought. So back in May, at the end of May, we had a football tournament. We stayed over for the night. And we... something come on the screen. Did this the other night, like some kind of a bloody jigsaw thing. There we go, it's gone. And I'd grown my hair and my beard had literally gone. So there's a picture of me we're just walking on the front. She looks absolutely stunning. I've got a nice shirt on. I've got longer hair, and I actually look at that and I look at it, and I think I look about 65 years old. But she absolutely loves the picture. She absolutely loves it. And when I said to her a few weeks later, I'm going to shave the hair off again and go bald, she was like, "Oh, thank God." She absolutely loves this look. I'm not actually bald, although my hair looks like it. That's my natural hairline. I do just shave my head. I shave it every 2 or 3 days in the shower. I bick it so it's smooth. And she absolutely loves me having the bald head. So, yep, if I want to grow my hair back, I've got to ask permission now. I am definitely a man under the thumb, as they say. Definitely a man under the thumb. Listen, guys, any who are on here, this video will be going onto YouTube. My YouTube channel is on my page. Please go onto my YouTube. Please subscribe and like my videos. You know, I'm not sure if all of you were on last week, but I have got a plan in the future to go to the UK. I want to raise money, go to the UK, live with the homeless, document it, get the stories, try and change some lives. And to do that, I need to raise funds. So I want to try and get my profile up on TikTok. I want to try and get my profile and subscribers up on YouTube. I want to try and raise the funds. I'm not here begging, by the way. I just the more viewers, the more subscribers I get, I can earn funds that way to do it. That's the plan I want to do. And so anyone who's on here, go to my YouTube, subscribe and like my videos. And every video I do on here, if anybody does miss it, I will be putting it onto my YouTube anyway. I will upload it on there either later on or in the morning. That's what I'll do. I need some more stories. Big things happen to each and every one of you will be involved. Yep, big things are going to be happening. Do I work in a gym? No, I don't, Lindsay. No, I have a mobile phone business. Well, me and my wife have a mobile phone business. My story is I left the forces, and from about 2003 to about 2014 on and off, we lived in Spain for a few years, but I drove trucks, and driving trucks is amazing. It's a great buzz driving that big, massive truck around the roads, around Europe and things like that. But a friend of ours had a mobile phone shop, and it was at the time when my head was about to explode. And we're both from the northeast of England, Netta. Kay's from Middlesbrough originally, and I'm from a place just outside called Thornaby. So this guy had a mobile phone shop, and I wanted to learn the industry because we wanted to come back and live in Spain. So long story short, we spent a few years working in his shop, learning the business, bit of time working with Apple and things like that. And we've come over here and we've opened up a mobile phone business. It's been going now close to 8 years, and we're the best around here now. There was a few other businesses when we got here, and we do a good service. We don't rip people off. We're a local branch, and you know, people come to us, and people come to us. We always have a little saying in our business: you come into our store as a customer and you leave as a friend, and we genuinely mean that. And we've recently just opened up a pet store. Well, Kay's just opened up a pet store. She did open it with a friend, and sadly that friend's turned out to be not the person that we thought she was going to be. So we move on from that. We've just rebranded that, so Kay's going to reopen it in a couple of weeks. And yeah, that's what we do basically. But I would love to work in a gym. Jesus, that'd be huge if I worked in a gym. It would be absolutely huge if I worked in a gym. But I do enjoy the gym. Like I said, I've not been for a few months. Just life takes over sometimes. You step away a little bit. Still pay my monthly subscription, but you know. Do our comments show on YouTube videos? Yes, they do, Lisa. They do. Lynn, thanks for joining us. It's been a pleasure. You take care of yourself, darling. And you enjoy that cold up there, because I bet it's bloody freezing. My twin loves Middlesbrough Football Club. Well, Lynn, just above you, Betty, is from Middlesbrough. I think you're still living in Middlesbrough, aren't you, Lynn, or that area? Middlesbrough Football Club. Well, I'm a Man United fan. But I was at the cup final when Middlesbrough beat Bolton. I actually put a bet on that day. I was going to put a tenner on for Middlesbrough to win 2-1 and Job to score first. I didn't. I put £2 on and I only got 16 back. So lesson learned. Go with your original gut feeling. Yeah, good club, Middlesbrough. Michael Carrick's the manager now, any ex-Man United player. So yeah, good town club. It'd be nice to see them in the top division doing a little bit better. Guys, I need some more of your stories. And you're in Billingham now, Lynn, right? Which part of Billingham? Because obviously, you know, we lived there for a little while. Who else we got on here now? Guys, I need you to tell me some of your stories, some of your mental health stories. I need to know a little bit more about you. Lindsay, amazing. I'm going to have to go as the little one's ready for bed. Take care, speak soon. Cara, thanks for tuning in. You take care as well. Where are you both? Yeah, I've already answered that. Yeah, we're both from the northeast, Netta. Northeast, I've not been back for quite some time now. To actually see, you know, people there. I just don't like the UK. I just don't like the place. It's cold. It's friggin' expensive, isn't it? It is expensive. I mean, Jesus. I mean, my son was sat yesterday morning, actually, believe it or not. I took my son for a breakfast yesterday morning, and he said to me, "Do you know something, Dad? It's £2.50 now for a sausage roll." Now, I don't know if he's actually right on that, but it wouldn't surprise me. As I said, I remember we used to get four sausage rolls in Greggs for £2. That wasn't too long ago. That was only about 8 or 9 years ago. So if they've gone up to £2.50 a pop, Jesus, I can't imagine many people buying sausage rolls. just off Low Grange Avenue. Yep, that was near. We lived on Low Grange, so yeah, I know exactly the area you mean. Mental health's so bad over the years, not enough help out there. Lindsay, you're right, and that's why I want to do this. That's why I want to try and build some kind of a community on here, so people can speak, so people can talk about the mental health. What people don't realise is not talking doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help the person suffering. It doesn't help their partners, their wives, their husbands, the family around them. Because, and I've said this last week and I'll say it again, I struggle, but my wife struggles every time I struggle because she's the one on the receiving end of it. So when I'm having a meltdown and I'm screaming holy murder and I'm angry and I'm shouting, or I'm low and I'm crying, or I'm manic and she just can't get me to shut the fuck up, basically, because I'm just blah, 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 because I'm so manic. She's on the end of all of that, and she suffers just as bad as me, and so does everybody else out there. Yes, a $2.50 each. Jesus, beans are £2. Bloody beans are cheaper in Spain. Heinz beans, shipped from the UK, are on, I think they're €1.69 for a tin. We probably only buy one tin a week. My lad has them, but I think it's €1.69. That's about, what, $1.45? So the £2.50. You get embarrassed talking about things. Betty, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. Like, there's seriously nothing to be embarrassed about. If you want to talk better, you've got to talk, and you've just got to find the right person. You've got to find somebody in your life who you trust, and I'm sure there's one person that you trust. Would you make merch? Well, do you know what? You've just said that, Lisa, right? I'm glad you've asked that. I was actually designing a t-shirt last week. Remember we were talking about, I need some help. I have actually in the process of designing some t-shirts, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a couple printed just in different colours, a red one and a white one. I've got a logo, and I've got a little, just a little bit of artwork to go above it. I've got a little bit of artwork to go above it, and I was going to wear it on here. And if anybody's interested, I've got a friend here who knows t-shirt makers in the UK. He's from Barnsley, so he knows people, and I know if I speak to him, anybody in the UK want them, I could have them printed there and sent out. All we do is just take a small deposit, and we can certainly do that. But yeah, I have. The first thing I said to my wife is, try and raise some money that way. And I sat and designed a lovely t-shirt. I've done one in red with the logo, and I've done one in white, and they look fantastic. Actually, they're not in your face. You'd have to actually ask what the logo means. But once someone said, what do them letters sort of mean, and you say what they mean, you'd be like, oh wow, yeah. So yeah, I am going to do that. I am going to get something put together. I'm not going to go daft like some people, like caps and hats and stuff. I'd just start with some t-shirts. If people just said to me, look, they want a hoodie or something, and yeah, I would do it. It is an idea, and yeah, I'm glad you've actually brought that up, because I completely forgot about it. It wasn't something I was going to raise yet, but definitely, yeah. And that's why I said last week, I want to try and build some kind of a community on here. I can see all the same faces coming on again as the other night, which is good. Build a kind of a community, and hopefully if each and every one sort of came on and said, yep, I'll have a t-shirt, and then, what I'd like to do is, what I want to do, I want to raise the money to go and live with the homeless and make a difference. And also I'd like to be able to give as well to sort of mental health charities, and there's plenty of them out there. I would like to, I said last week, I did try and set up a mental health help page on Facebook over here 2 or 3 years ago, and it literally just fell flat on its arse. And it was for men. It was for men, but obviously if any women had got in touch with them, I suppose we'd have sort of turned them away. But it was for men, and it was running for about 4 weeks. Not one person followed it, liked it, comment on it, and in the end I just thought, I'm just going to remove it, and I just removed it. But it's something that I think needs to be seriously addressed, because I know from working in my business, the amount of people come into my shop and they tell you that they will tell you that they have issues, but they won't talk about them. So I know there's a hell of a lot of men out here in Spain, and obviously in the UK, that suffer and struggle daily, on a daily basis, but they just don't talk about it. But again, you can't drag the information out of people. You can't drag it out of them. They've got to want to talk. And sometimes you think to yourself, by creating a page that's completely anonymous, it gives somebody the chance to just reach out and just send a little message, type a message, just say, I need some help. My name's, whatever. Whatever years old, this is my issue, I just need someone to talk to. I mean, we have, there's the Samaritans out here in Spain. I've spoken to them myself, but to be honest, I always find that things like that, it's a little bit, almost a bit like a answering machine. It's a little bit monotone from it. It's almost like they're reading off a script. If the person says they're feeling this way, then you've got to reply with that answer. If you get what I mean. I don't think it's personal. I think if somebody's going to reach out and ask for mental health help, they need to feel like the person replying to them or the person they're talking to is absolutely 100% genuine. When they're speaking back to them, giving them the best advice they can possibly give and saying it with feeling. So if I was going to come speak to someone and say, I need some help, I would want that person to engage with me, look me in the eye, genuinely look interested in what I've got to say, you know, and get the feeling that they're there for me and not just reading their reply from a sheet. And I think you get a lot of that with a lot of these charities. I do think, and I'm not criticising them all, there's a lot of good charities and a lot of good services out there. But I think there's also a lot where they're just sort of on the end of a phone and they're just reading from a sort of a sheet. And I found that difficult. Let's have a look what we got on here. It's so difficult, especially talking, and men are more deep than women. We'd be more open. Women are definitely more open than men, and that's why I said the other night, the statistics on men taking their own lives is far superior to superior is the wrong word, far greater than it is for women, because women do talk. You know, women talk to each other. Women talk themselves about anything, about health problems, personal problems. They talk about the husbands all the time, the kids, any problems that happen. Women haven't. A lot of women haven't got a problem opening up. Usually to the friends, you know, and you know, women have all women seem to have, always have that one friend or a sister or something like that they can talk to. Men are different. Men's friends are, you go to the pub and you like this, and you go to the pub with your mates, you have a pint and you swear and you watch the football and you're men, and you know, and a lot of that is part of the problem, because there's always someone in that group who's really masculine man, and he's straight laced and he doesn't want any of that nonsense. You know, you talk about anyone with mental health and they're sort of can't be doing any of that. So that doesn't help you. What it needs for all men to realise is that it's not you're not being less of a man by asking for help, you know. And I think that's a reason why the suicide rate for men is far greater than women, because men don't talk and they get to this point where they haven't spoken, they've never asked for that help, and then they take the ultimate sacrifice and they end their lives. And that's tragic, isn't it? Because like we say, all you've got to do is say 4 words, I need some help. So yeah, but you're right there, it is difficult talking for men, and it shouldn't be though, should it? It shouldn't be difficult at all. 85258 is a tech support service called Shout. It's supported by Will and Kate, the Royals. Okay. Lisa Jane. I'm gonna save that, Lisa. I'm just gonna 85258. Okay. That's so true. My boy covered it so well. No. What's that, Tess? No? You put no. But yeah, going back to men, it is quite sad that men don't speak, men don't talk. See, I spot it now. I spot it now. I can see guys when I'm around them. I can spot the ones who sort of have them issues, and I see them. And although they've never reached out, I'm aware of it because of my own issues. I spot the signs now. Like years ago, I didn't. Years ago, when I was younger, I just thought I was this bad person. Fell out with friends, relationships didn't last too long. I was arguing with family, changing, once I'd left the forces, changing jobs, this, that and the other. But you get a diagnosis and you realise it, and you put things and you're like, oh, so that's why I did this, and that's why I reacted that way. That's why I lost this friend. That's why I reacted in that situation. So now I'm older and I see other guys and I spot little signs. And I've got a friend out here who recently, he was a little bit down. He was a little bit, and I said to my wife, I'm a little bit worried, and she said, yeah, I've noticed he's a little bit quiet. And I said, he's obviously having a bit of a downtime. And I spoke to him a couple of weeks later, and he actually said to me, he said, I've just been a little bit down lately, a little bit depressed. And I went, I know, I noticed it. I said, but you knew I was here, didn't you? He went, yeah. Now, we've never actually spoke, and he's never said to me he has any mental health issues, or he's never said to me, anything like that, But the way he just come out and said, I was a little bit depressed lately. I was sad, obviously, because my mate had been depressed. But I was absolutely over the moon that he told me He told me, and I said to him, well, you knew I was here though, didn't you? He went, oh yeah, if I needed you, I knew you were there. You go over in your head the signs you missed. And that's the thing though, Netta, a lot of people do miss the signs because they don't know them a lot. And I don't mean this to sound towards anybody on here. This is just, some people in the world do bury their head in the sand. They don't want to hear that their friend or somebody they know or a family member has got a mental health issue. A lot of people sort of go, oh, pull yourself together. And it ain't as simple as that. If somebody has an issue, they need someone genuine to listen to them. Like I said, when you're phoning up these helplines, you don't want to be chatting to some guy, the other side of the country who's just got a 2-hour shift to man a phone. He's reading the answers off a piece of paper, and you can tell them a mile off. Your brother took his life in 2013. Would never have thought he was suffering. Yeah, that's tragic as well, because was he life and soul of the party, Netta, as well? I mean, was he the sort of guy who went out, enjoyed himself and things like that, and you just thought his life was great? I bet he had a good job. I bet he had friends, girlfriend, wife, whatever. I bet he did, and I bet you never knew. And as well as losing him, especially the way, taking his own life is horrendous. But losing him and then knowing that all he had to do was say them 4 words, I need some help. That I bet, yeah, that's a tough one, that. But again, this is what I said earlier. There's far too many men making that choice to end their lives. Your life contains some themes that some may find uncomfortable and being restricted. Okay, my life's been I've got a restriction. Can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me? Can you hear me? I've got a restriction on my live. I'm going to appeal to that. Okay. Okie dokie. Can everyone still hear me? Yes, you can still hear me. I've just had a thing pop up on my live there saying I've been restricted because of the theme that I'm speaking about. Maybe it was because we were talking about people taking their lives. I'm not sure why that popped up, but you can still hear me. That's good. That's something I want to look into. Yes, I think it may be the words that you're using. Okay, I'm not sure I used anything. I'm not sure I used anything that I would deem to be offensive. But anyway, we're going back to that. We need men to speak up, because it's happening far too often where men are making the wrong decision and ending their lives when you just need to say them 4 words. So for you there, Netta, my heart goes out to you. So my live is still going anyway. It just said that there was a restriction on there for some reason. I think it was just sort of a warning, whatever word I've used, whatever word or words I've used. So I'll try and think about that. The words I'm using, yeah, Lisa, but can you think of what words I possibly used there? It's the baffling one. I'd say I am new to this. This is only my second live solo. So I am new to this. Oh, I've got to say unalived apparently. So this is the new world that we're living in. It's bullshit if you ask me, but yeah. Okay. Isn't it wild that that's restricted? This is exactly why it shouldn't be restricted. Yeah, because we're talking honest and open. I think you meant to say unalive. It's due to the times where under 18s could join. Okay, so I've got to start using the word unalive. Now that's going to drive me mad. Because when I hear people use that word on the TV, I just think, why are they using that stupid word? This is a safe place and an outlet for so many. You're right, Mitchy Moo, it is a safe place and an outlet for so many people. But apparently I've got to use the word unalived. So I've got to start getting used to that. Okay. So yeah, that's sad, that, Netta. And I suppose, again, going back to a lot of situations like that, I bet there's times when you get angry as well, angry maybe at yourself that you think you should have spotted it, but we're not psychologists. Maybe he's angry sometimes at your brother that he didn't say anything, and then made that ultimate sacrifice. You can set your life to over 18s only. Well, that's what I'll do next time. I'm not going to fiddle with it now because, to be honest, Lisa, I'm not actually that clued up on this thing yet, this TikTok. I think so. I've been on it about a year or so. I used to watch people doing daft dances and silly voiceovers, and I used to think, I'm going to do that one day. And I've ended up doing this, which is something obviously means the world to me, but I'm not really that clued up on this whole thing yet. So next time I'm on, Sorry, Nat, I keep saying your brother, yeah, your son, sorry. But I'm not clued up on this, so I will have to try and change them settings next time. Sorry, Nat, I keep saying your brother there. Sorry, there's that many people, messages coming up and different things. I apologise for that. How old, you didn't tell me, how old was your son, Netta? It was my brother's mate, Netta's son. Ah, wow, so you and Netta are friends, okay. Yes, just check your settings. You shouldn't be restricted for talking about this subject. No, you shouldn't be, no, but you're right. But if there's certain words, I'll look it up later on when we're done. I'll have a look up later on and find out what words I'm allowed to say and what words I'm not allowed to say, and I'll find out where I've gone wrong there. But yeah, it does seem a little bit crazy when we're talking about something so serious, so important. There's people on here actually. It's amazing. I mean, the amount of people that have come on here tonight. I mean, loads of people have come on and actually shared their story tonight. And this is what I said last week. Last week was just an introduction about me, about my mental health, my day-to-day struggles, and also I want to hear about yours. And then here we are tonight. Some of the things that people just, there's a lady on earlier on, Viv, some of the things she disclosed, some of the things that happened to her when she was younger, losing her father and suffering abuse and stuff as a young girl. I mean, that was just horrendous. But the fact that she shared that, not just with me, but with all of you guys on here as well, I mean, I take my hat off to her. Right? Amazing. The mental health system is in total crisis. It is, Andrea, it is. But again, it doesn't have to be, really, does it? I mean, it really doesn't have to be. I mean, I think a lot of mental health, we can all not sort it. You're never going to sort something like that, but we can all do our bit. We can all do our bit. Like on here, we've got so many people on here come on and they watch me and they chat and they send the comments. Now, what I want all you people to do is follow each other. You should all be following each other. And like I say, we make some kind of a community on here. We're all adults and know you mean, well, don't worry. No, I'm fine. I'm not feeling bad for whatever word I'm supposed to have used. But I think with the mental health crisis in the UK, I think we can all help each other. I mean, if you're struggling, not everybody has to go to a doctor and ask for a tablet. Not everybody has to go to a shrink to talk. Sometimes, like you say, talking to strangers, talking to friends and family, sometimes just admitting that you think you've got an issue, admitting you've got an issue and actually speaking about it, that means the world to some people. Because there's people out there, their heads are about to explode because they want to say something and they're ready to say something and they even know the person they want to say it to, but they just don't know how. They just don't know when to find that moment. They're waiting for that, maybe the gap in a conversation or for somebody to say a particular word that they can go, oh, by the way, sometimes Hannah lost a brother, it was Netta who lost a son. That's right, yeah, and I'm sorry, yeah, I got that completely wrong. Thanks, Lisa. You know what? I'm shit sometimes with my memory and I'm reading things so fast. I don't mean to be disrespectful there. But yeah, Hannah, it was you lost your brother. That's right. Yes, he was 21. How old are you, Hannah? If you don't mind me asking, you don't look that old on there. I take it you and your brother were similar ages by the looks of it. And Netta lost a son. Yeah, Nick Ash. Hey Jay. Hiya Nick. How are you doing? How are you today? How's your week been since we all last spoke? What's everyone's plans for the following week? Has anybody got anything exciting happening in their lives? Anybody got anything exciting that they're supposed to be going to do, but because of their mental health, they're considering not going? Kay's doing. She's okay. She's. I don't know if you were on earlier. Kay had some tragic news last Wednesday while we were live last week. Come off the live and Kay found out that her dad had passed away. So that was an awful few. Well, it's still a difficult time. But that first couple of initial days, she was in a bit of a state, and it was tough for her. It was tough for me, but not as half as tough. It's tough because you feel helpless when that person who means the world to you is suffering and struggling. Well, yes, Wayne, Nick, yeah, it's tragic. But when that person's struggling and you don't know what to say or what to do to take away that pain and to make them feel any better, you feel a bit helpless, and then obviously your own sort of mental health's kicking in and you're fighting against your demons to try and be strong for somebody. It's like a vicious circle. But she's perked up last couple of days. She come to watch me last night on my show and she had a good night. We all had a laugh. I even treated her a slap up meal last night. I got her a club burger and chips and she had a couple of cups of coffee. So hey, what a guy I am, eh? I know how to treat my woman. I know how to show her a good time. I'm a rock. Sorry for your loss. It was a tough week. It was a tough week, but we got each other. Like we always say, we have each other, and we have the marriage where that wasn't me piddling my pants. That was me getting some water. We have the marriage where we do talk, and sometimes we don't talk. Sometimes we don't talk for frigging hours because I've been an absolute bell end, and I am one of them quite a lot. But we do talk. If my wife's struggling, sometimes she'll come in and she'll just say, "Can I have a hug?" She'll just plonk herself down on my lap. We'll have a hug. Then we'll take the piss out of it and we'll just go back splashing out. Yeah, I was splashing out. It cost me, what was it, $8.95 for that club burger and chips. Yeah, and the coffees aren't cheap out here. I think about $1.40. She had two as well. She didn't just stop at one drink. She had two. Is your bird not there tonight? Them whistles were funny. I've actually deliberately covered him over tonight. I've dropped the lights in the room down. So this is our lounge. It's quite a big lounge, this one. We've got a door that end, a conservatory on the front that end. We've got a small conservatory on the back that end. But Pico's just in this corner here. And the other night, I didn't notice it when I was on. I didn't actually notice it. It's only when I watched it back and I was like, Jesus, every 30 seconds he was screeching. And someone actually said they thought it was like a text message tone on my phone. But no, it's Pico, but he's quiet tonight. But now he's heard me say his name, I wouldn't be surprised. He's got this blanket over his cage. And he's a little shit. He's managed to tear a hole in it. I was sat the other night watching TV. And you know when you think someone's looking at you? And I just turned on, there was just this eye like this, just glaring through his cage at me. He's a character, he is. Wonder because he's so quiet. Yeah, he's quiet. Yeah, it was you said, was it a text message? Yeah, I thought, like I said, I'm not that popular to be honest, but you know, it's Pico's a little shit. He's cracking up. Some of the things he says is unbelievable. I used to watch a program, BMF. It's about the cocaine dealers in Chicago Atlanta. And what they say on there, like, they use the N-word a lot on there. It's that kind of thing. But they kept talking about crackhaw. So for some reason, I just started saying to this bird, crackhaw. And I kept saying this to this parrot over and over. One morning, Kay come down the stairs and he shouted, Kay. She went, morning, Pico. And he said, F off, you crackhaw. Well, I nearly pissed myself laughing. I fell off the chair and I nearly pissed myself laughing because he is absolutely brilliant. You don't have to say something 3 or 4 times to him and then you don't say it again, and 3 or 4 months later, out he comes with it. He's phenomenal. Some of the stuff he's got is unbelievable. Yeah, he does. He cracks us up. It is funny. I mean, it's not a nice thing to call somebody, but again, that's our person that he's my boy over. Kay's the only one who can really handle him. We've had him for about 5 years. There was a lady in Benidorm. We were going to buy one, but they are expensive. They are so clever. And Kay had gone on a site on Facebook just asking if anyone knew where we could get a parrot, rehome one or whatever. And we forgot about it. About 6 months later, a lady messaged, said, listen, my husband's really ill. We're moving back to the UK. We've got this parrot. We'd just like a good home for him. She didn't want anything for him, but we went up there. We took him in a cage. We give us some money anyway. So he's legally, I was vetting for about 5 years. I think he's about 9 years old, about 8 or 9 years old. But he's an absolute Fruit Loop. Yeah, that's crazy. It is crazy, but that's Pico. I mean, we're in winter here, so most time when I do a live at the minute, it's going to be night time. But there's going to be a point we're coming towards the end of January. In about 7-8 weeks, is it? The clocks are going to go forward, and the lights are going to start lighting, and I'll start doing lives on the night. And what I'll do is I'll probably get Pico on. I'll probably do it so we sort of, we turn around. There he is. There, it's just over there in his cage, so you can just see him. And this is my painting and all. This is Sadhu Baba. This is another Sadhu Baba. We love everything to do with India. We have a lot of decor in our home, India. We have a lot of like Indian things hanging around and stuff like that. So, but that's Pico, and you will get to see him because one time we'll be on live and we'll just have him in the background and we'll let you all meet him, and hopefully he'll play up for the camera. Was my comedy show in Benidorm? No. I wish, Kirstian, I wish I was at that level of comedy. No, I'm just on the beginning of my journey of comedy. It's something I've always wanted to do. And last year I got the chance. I did some amateur dramatic actually. There was a customer come in my shop and she said, have you ever done any acting? I said, I did at school, but usually I just act like an arsehole. And she said, listen, we've got a part in a play. Would you be interested? And I said to her, not really. But she had me on the hook. She came in a few weeks later, a lovely woman called Noelle, an Irish lady. She's in Australia at the moment. And she came in again and said, listen, can I really? I said, okay, you've got me. So I did this play and I played a doctor who was a sarcastic twat. I mean, I find it hard being a sarcastic twat, but I gave it a go. And I was also a murderer, so I was the villain of the show, and I had to play a drunk as well. And funny enough, I nailed the sarcasm, I nailed the drunk, and I nailed the angry part. I mean, to be honest, I should have had an Oscar because I've never acted in any of them ways at all in my life before. But I nailed it, and I loved it, and I love being on the stage. And they're doing another play now, but I didn't fancy it. But through doing that play, a lady approached me and said, "I know you've been wanting to do stand-up comedy. Would you be interested in doing it for a charity event?" It's just sort of 2 5-minute. That's sarcasm. Sarcasm's the lowest form of wit, Kirsty, and if that's the case, I'm brilliant at sarcasm. And so she said, "You want to do some stand-up comedy?" And it was just in a little bar where we were. I had about 70, 80 people, and I did it, but the nerves were horrendous. But I did it, and I did it sitting down. It was a bit of a comfort blanket around me. It was just sitting down with a lectern, and I had a bit of paper there with my stuff on. And then, obviously, June, we had our own issues in June, so 6 months have gone, and this function's been booked in for a while, so I've really enjoyed it this weekend. It was just in a local, it's like a bowling club. Like I say, where we live here, it's like the Blue Rinse Mountain here. Everybody's a pensioner, everybody's pretty old, retired, and bowling's a massive sport here, and it's a bowling club, but it holds about, I'd probably say 100 odd people in total in the building altogether with the acts and things. It wasn't just me. Probably about 170, 180 people in there. Big place. It was €10 a ticket. It all went to charity. 1,600 odd euros was raised over the couple of nights, and it was fantastic. And like I say, I'm just at the beginning of my journey. But yes, the plan is one day, I'd love to be at a point in my life where the nerves have gone and I've got enough material that I can go to Benidorm and stand there for an hour and make people laugh, because I could come off that stage then and die a very, very happy man. But I'm a long way from that yet. But if I ever do get to that stage, you can all sort of say, well, I remember when he was just talking shit on TikTok, and now look at him. But yeah, I wish it was Benidorm. But we're not far from Benidorm. We're about 40-minute drive straight up the AP7, past Alicante. It's about 20 minutes past Alicante. I'm not a lover of Benidorm. Not a lover of the place at all. I've only ever been a couple of times. Like I say, we could go every weekend if we wanted to, but I'm not a Benidorm kind of person, to be honest. Need to go enjoy your life. Thanks, Betty. Betty, thanks for opening up early on. And I will be back on Thursday, but I will let a little video out anyway. Feel free to practice your set on us. I don't think I'm quite there yet, Lisa, but yeah, I might start dropping the odd joke. But what I will do is start practicing sort of in front of the camera, just not my full set, but just my delivery and things. I might put a few things on in the future, but that's a long way off yet. But yeah, I suppose if that ever happened and I did become famous doing it, you could all say, well, I remember my appeal was not approved. So I appealed and they've not approved it, so obviously I've used the wrong word. At least if I do ever become famous and people are paying 20, 30 euros a ticket to come and watch me, you can all say, well, I remember him when he was nothing. I remember him when he was putting little clips on TikTok for all us lot. I remember him before he was famous. He loved Benidorm. He'd been about 6 times. I suppose if you live in the UK and you're coming on holiday and you come to Benidorm, yeah, I suppose it's different. But we live in Spain, and there's a lot of British people in Spain. All they do, even around here, is a lot of them, all they do is just drink and drink and drink. So going to Benidorm for a weekend, it's just all people do is just drink and drink and drink and drink and drink. So for us, me and Kay, we go away. We just find a nice hotel. Better of us just go to a nice hotel just for the night. We travel 45 minutes down the road. Nice hotel, about €100, breakfast included. We'll go out and have an Indian. We love Indian, like I said earlier. We love anything to do with India. I mean, a lot of my tattoos are all Buddhism and stuff like that. My wife's are pretty much the same. We love everything to do with India. We love Indian food. We love the clothing. We love everything about India. So we'll always, we'll go away and we'll have a night out. We'll have a nice Indian night in a hotel room, breakfast, and then we'll just have a slow drive back the next day. And sometimes it just feels like you've been away for ages, but just that, maybe leave Friday 3 o'clock, get home Saturday 12 o'clock. We're only an hour down the road, but it's just enough. Not into the sunbathing. I'll be honest with you, Lisa. My wife is a sun worshipper. We've got a pool here. We're fortunate to have a pool, and in the summer, she will just sit out there all day, literally in a bikini. And I just say to her, "You're going to burn." No, she doesn't burn. She dumps in the pool. She's out the pool. Something. I sit in it for 5 minutes. It just drives me mad. I can't just sit in it. The Benidorm market is great. It is. And we went with some family a few years ago, and on the market they were selling all this fur, and they looked like dead cats. And I remember taking a video and putting it on my Facebook and said, I can't believe they're selling dead cats on the market. My Facebook went mental. Everyone was like saying it's disgusting. I went, for God's sake, it's fur. That market up there is massive. It is massive. Good Italian jeans. Yeah, she has good Italian jeans, my missus. You remember the jeans she got? They were ones from Primark. They were a size 10, but she needed bigger. Can you remember? Have you ever been to the chocolate factory? No, I haven't, but I've heard about that. What made you move to Spain? Would love to move one day. It's not as easy to do now, though, Kirsty. Everything's changed, obviously, with Brexit. We moved before Brexit, and you come out here and you get residencia. As long as you can prove that you can financially support yourself, because unlike the UK, if you come to Spain and you ain't got a job, then that's it. You live on the street. You need a job. You need to pay your way. You need to pay for a property, either rent or buy. You need to buy your own food. And if you want a mobile phone, you've got to go to a shop and buy your own. A little bit different to the UK, because the UK, a lot of people go to the UK and they get given a mobile phone, they get given 3 meals a day, and they get given a roof over their head. You know where I'm going with this. So it's a hell of a lot different. You come to Spain, you've got to work hard, and you've just got to prove you can support yourself. It's a little bit different now with Brexit, where they're doing all this visa thing. So you've got to have 20-odd thousand pounds in the bank the first year, then the second year you've got to have another so much in the bank, and they're making it quite difficult. But they're making it difficult. That's just for the British. If you're Italian or if you're Irish, it's a little bit different. You can still come and do the residency thing, where as long as you can prove that you can, support yourself, you come out here, you get a residency card. Husband's in the process of applying for his Irish passport. Brilliant. My friend who lives here, I'm not going to say who he is, because at the moment he's waiting on his Irish passport, but his mum got her Irish passport at Christmas, and on Christmas Day she said she gave him a Christmas card, and inside it was the completed application form for his Irish passport, so he's waiting on his. So once he gets that, he can get a contract, and he can then, he can stay here forever then. So that's going to be great news, because he's a good guy, and I'd hate to think you've had to go back to the UK. Top bloke. So yeah, he's getting his Irish passport. My wife is half Italian. Like I said, her dad was Italian. And when she got to the funeral the funeral's a week on Wednesday, and a lot of his family are coming across from Villajoyosa. It's not too far from us at all, that. So when she goes to the funeral, there'll be a lot of Italian people there, and I've said to her, you need to push for this Italian passport, because for us in the future, makes life. I mean, if anything changed with the British again, and they brought out all these more laws about, it could change the way we are living here. We could have to meet some different criteria, but if you're Italian or German or French or any other nationality, you come to Spain right now, you can stay here as long as you want. Yeah, why would we not choose it out? Do you know what? I think if we had the money, I'd love to think I had the money, I probably would go. I'd probably retire to Italy. But I mean, like I say, Kay's never met any of this family, all her life. I mean, these are all distant relatives who she's now going to get to meet, and although it's a funeral she's dreading going to, that little part of it excites, because she said, I'm going to meet some of my family, and some of her family are quite famous, and she's looking forward to meeting them, and from what I'm hearing is coming to visit you. Sounds like a fantastic. She's amazing, my missus. She's amazing. But she's going to meet some of her family, and she is excited about that, and they're looking forward to meeting her, because like I said, her dad John, he was so immensely proud of my wife, and he talked about her all the time to this family, so they're all looking forward. 5 towns selling property for £1, build resident. I've seen these all over the internet. I never know if they're true or not. Move to this town and they'll give you like 30 grand and they'll give you the house and all that. It seems too good to be true, doesn't it? And I would say if something's too good to be true, then it usually is. But yeah, he was immensely proud of her, and he talked about her all the time, so I know a lot of the family are looking forward to meeting Kay. So hopefully through this, she's going to get some connections with a distant family, and hopefully, our family then become a bit extended. So it'd be nice then to have some family to go and maybe give us an excuse to finally go to Italy, because it's something we've always said we'd like to do. We'd like to sort of hire a camper van, like a motorhome or something, even just a little VW, little tiny little thing where you've got 2 beds in, a bucket to piss in, and a little stove or something. That'd do us for a couple of weeks. I'd be happy doing that, stopping at services for a shower every day and just travelling around for a few weeks and go to see them. that'd be amazing. But it'd be nice to make some connections, for Kay to make some connections at the funeral, and maybe for us to go there and visit and see the place where Kay's dad and his family are originally from, because Italy's a beautiful, beautiful place. I mean, Spain's a lovely place, but I suppose like anywhere, when you've lived somewhere for a while, you start seeing the little things sort of start to piss you off a little bit. But when you see pictures of Italy, it's so picturesque, isn't it? It's a beautiful place. I mean, the main cities are busy, but some of them smaller places, them little towns and villages, you know, all built on the side of hills and mountains, are just absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. So yeah, definitely would love to go to Italy. Hope it goes well. Yeah, like I say, it's a bit of a tough situation, but she's going to get to meet some of her distant family who, like I say, many years since any of them ever seen. I think she was probably very little girl, 1 or 2 year old. So, you know, it'd be nice. But road trip would be great for videos, take us along. Yeah, it would be, and it is something we're going to do, but we're a few years away yet. But like I say, yeah, it could happen even quicker. I mean, who knows? Kay goes to this funeral, meets a few people, and they sort of say, why don't you come over in the summer? We'll be on the next flight there, we'll go home, even if it's just a few days. I mean, Italy from here on a plane is probably about Spain, what, an hour and 15 minutes maybe, a couple of hours max. So yeah, road trip, camp life, that would be good, wouldn't it? I tell you what, you guys would have the time of life, because watching us two together taking the piss out of each other would be quite good fun. Yeah, because like I say, I'm difficult to live with, but we do have a great relationship. We do take the piss a lot, but I think people would be like, wow, I can't believe he speaks to her like that. But then it's our banter, you know. I call her fat ass and things like that, and like I say, there's nothing on her. It's just the way we are. But going back to that lady in Primark that day, the look on her face when she just leaned over and said, I suggest you keep your fucking nose out. And the lady's face just looked at us, and off she went. And Kay just shrugged her shoulders and carried on looking at jeans. I was just knocked back. Yeah, North East, yeah. Brandon, yeah. Raised in Thornaby, a place called Thornaby. Lived in Ingleby, lived in Yarm, lived in Billingham. Yes, we are on the TV at the end of the year. I wasn't going to tell them that, Kay. With our new business that Kay's just started, we've already filmed one episode for Bargain Loving Brits in the Sun. And yeah, that's going to be a bit fun. We are waiting to hear back from them, because we are waiting to come and film again. But yeah, it's going to be fun, because it'd be nice if they follow us around a little bit. We've got some friends out here actually on there as well. Mark and his daughter Haley, they have a furniture shop not far from us. They're on there, so we spoke to them and they said just give them a call. So we give them a call, told them we're opening a new business, and they were straight in touch. They love that show. I don't watch it. I have watched a couple of episodes. Now I know we're going to be on it. Can't wait to watch that. Keep us posted on the date. I'm from Hartlepool. Thought it was the northeast. It is, well, Billingham Wynyard area, yeah. So yeah, I don't mind Hartlepool. I was actually telling the story the other day about when we give a tramp in Hartlepool. You know where the shopping centre is? The car park at the back. The little ramp goes down into the end where you go into McDonald's. And we got him a McDonald's, and he didn't like the coffee because it had sugar in it. It was quite a funny story, but yeah, definitely a northeast fan. But we are going to be on TV. Yeah, that's going to be fun. And the more they film, the more you'll see our relationship come out. And yeah, I always sort of say, like, I've said it before, I've said to Kay, I'd love to be one of them, like, fly on the wall, just to put a camera in our room and just see how we are on a night, the way we talk to each other, like, you know, warts and all, you know, scratching your ass, picking your nose, swearing at each other, laughing and taking the piss and that. That's real life, isn't it? My friend was on that with his hubby. Unfortunately, he died a couple of years ago, very young. That's tragic. I'm off now. Lovely to hear from you. From you, Kay. Oh, you talked to Kay. Okay. Kay's taken over this, hasn't she? So that's what she does. She just takes over. That's what she does. I'm just going to go. I'll let you all chat to Kay. Yeah, she is good though, and I am going to get her on here. She'll keep saying no, but I am going to get her on here. I'm going to get her on here, and we're going to discuss one week what it's like to live with me. Gogglebox, I'd love to do that. The air would be blue though. All I do is swear. Honestly, I don't watch live TV. But if you put me in front of a TV now and put me in front of a programme, I would slaughter him, I'd call him a name, and him a name, and him a name. It's just the way I am. It's just, a lot of people on TV are so false. You never see the real people. I mean, I know acting's acting, but I'm on about a lot of these, even talk shows when you see famous people come on. They're always minding the P's and Q's, careful of what we live in a world where they've got to say and speak a certain way. We've only found that out tonight by the words I used on here instead of using the word unalived. So we live in a world where people are not really always really who they are they? It's a great show. It'll be good to see us on there. Well, I can't wait to see it, to be honest. I can't wait to see it. But I'd had a few months out of the gym there. I've been eating like a bastard, so I'm probably I always say like shaped like a letter D at the time. But yeah, it'll be good fun to see ourselves on TV and see where it goes from there. I've got to wait to hear from the production company now because they're editing the first filming that they did, the opening of the store. And the mayor was supposed to come and help us open the store, but he didn't arrive that day, and the TV company hung around till about 4:30 as well. But lovely people who came and filmed it. That's why I hate work. You can't speak your mind and be yourself. Corporate world. Yeah, you're absolutely bang on, Kirsty. It's crazy. I mean, I'm fortunate in the sense that I was in the army, and then I was then I drove trucks. So I lived in a very masculine industry, especially the forces and driving trucks. I mean, masculine. I'm old school. We used to drive trucks, and if you had a bit of an issue at work with some guy, you said go and have a conversation around the back of a truck, let's say, and then it'd be dealt with. And then you go back to work. No one ever heard about it. No one dragged in office. No one was getting suspended or having the wages docked or sacked. It was men dealing with problems like men, and then moving on. And 3 hours later, you'd be parked up in a truck stop somewhere having a beer with the fella. You'd probably just knock lumps out of, or he'd knock lumps out of you. That was the world we lived in. It was a very masculine world. No one complained about the words you used. But towards the end of it, when I was moving away from that into the mobile phone industry, things were changing. Things were changing. I would go to deliveries in a truck, and security guards would snap at us. And if you spoke to them in the wrong tone of voice, your phone's ringing. It's the office. You've upset somebody, and it got to the point where you just thought, you know what, shove this up your arse. I can't live like that. And that's why I surround myself with people who are more like-minded than me. And I get it. Everyone's different. People like to use certain words. I don't. We don't always swear. I don't always swear. Now I've got Kay as my boss. Yeah. I suppose I have. But the world's full of different people. But I just think it's gone too far. I understand that we're not in a world where we're in the 60s and 70s where men could be slapping women's backsides and things like that. Yeah, that is totally incorrect. But we've gone and saying certain words, but now we've gone too far. I mean, we get to a point now where men are criticised if they open a door for a woman. I don't believe all people are like that. I mean, I still do it. If I'm walking into a supermarket, man, woman, or beast, I open. If I'm walking through the door open. If I'm in a bar, I'll say excuse me or whatever. Or, still with my missus, we go out for a meal, I'll pull a chair out. That kind of thing. There's nothing wrong with chivalry. Chivalry shouldn't be dead. But when it's words that you're using, just normal words that we're all using, it's a bit crazy. Because people express themselves in different ways, don't they? People express themselves in different ways, so you just got to be mindful. You've got to read the room. I suppose you've got to work out the people that you're around. If you're around like-minded people, you can get away with, then be yourself. But if you're around people who are going to complain about the ins and outs of everything, then personally I'd rather take myself out of the conversation. I'd rather just leave the room if I'm in a room with people like that, because if I can't be myself, then with my mental health I end up becoming someone I don't want to be, so that's what I do. But yeah, you're right, it's gone a bit mad, hasn't it? It's gone a bit crazy. I mentioned it earlier. Did anyone see the inauguration of Donald Trump? And he's come out and said about the American way of life, how it's going to change, and there's only going to be two sexes, male and female, and any doctors and any surgeons and anyone getting involved in mutilation of children, things like that. Now, you would never ever see the British government on TV doing that right now. I mean, look what's going on with the grooming gangs. They just totally brushed it under a carpet. That's a world we live in. Yet you say hurty words on Facebook or on TikTok, like I did tonight, and didn't use the word unalived, and I've been flagged for it. This is the world we live in. Yet you've got Donald Trump in America, coming out and saying what a lot of people think, saying this is how it should be, So, the guy's absolutely brilliant, I think. Everyone has different views of him, but it depends where you are in the world, what your values are. But I just think that the world needs to change, I think, and we all need to go back to being honest, and if someone doesn't like someone, you want to call them a bastard, call them a bastard. If that person gets offended, then tough, you've called them a bastard, you want them to be offended. But we live in a world now where people are getting offended on behalf of other people as well, and that's ridiculous. And no wonder there's so many people struggling with the mental health, because you don't know what's right from wrong. British government are a joke. They look after every other country, and you're absolutely bang on right. And I said that earlier, you come to Spain, if you haven't got no money in Spain, you can get off that flight, go and find a bridge and live under it, because they ain't giving you nothing. They ain't giving you a hotel, they ain't giving you 3 square meals a day, they ain't giving you a mobile phone, they ain't giving you money. You know where I'm going with this. You fend for yourself. As a comedian said recently, people get offended, so what, it won't kill you. You're right, it won't kill you. It won't. But, Fred, people are getting put in jail now, aren't they? People are getting put in jail for hurty words, as we call it. Exactly where was the help for the UK floods from other countries? Yep. Well, where was the help for the floods in Spain 5 years ago? I bet none of you are aware of that. There was thousands of people right on my doorstep here lost their homes, and it was because the government opened the flood barrier, thinking it'd ease it, and it made it worse, and it literally just covered homes, just covered them. But you're right. But they're sending money everywhere else, and they're sending money over to Syria, to Africa, all these other countries. I'm just talking a few hundred million. You're talking billions and billions and billions and billions of pounds going out the UK. And you've got your pensioners are probably freezing their tits off right now. You've got homeless people living on the streets, being treated like they're just worthless, and you've got people coming into your country being given everything. And like I say, you come to Spain and you haven't got 2 pennies, then good luck to you. You're not going to last 2 minutes. Never really liked Trump, but you have to say he talks sense. Too busy funding a war that no one wants. But he's come out tonight and he said, what he said is the Americans have been sticking the beaks into far too many wars that are none of their business. His plan is to end wars and not start them. He wants to build bridges and he wants to end wars. I think his main concern, he wants to end the war with Russia and Ukraine. Because at the end of the day, no matter what people think about the Russians, they're a massive, powerful country. And if you can have them as an ally, it can only be a good thing, can't it? Especially with the problem with the gas pipes getting cut and, oil prices and everything. It can only be a good thing if they end that war. And it needs to end. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. It doesn't matter what's happened in the past. We're talking about innocent lives now. And when innocent people are suffering, you've got to look beyond the blame and who started this and who did what, who said this and who said that. You've just got to end it. And I believe Donald Trump is going to try and do that. Trump said he would end the war in 24 hours. Do you know what, Fred? I wouldn't put anything past the guy. I think he's brilliant. Peace doesn't make money. It doesn't make money, you're right, Fred, and there's a lot of money in war, but, I think Donald Trump's a clever enough guy to know how to make money without war. Like he said, look at the amount of taxes the Americans are paying to other countries. No one's paying the same thing to America. He's on about ending all these taxes, all these donations to European countries. Why should America fund Europe? Why should they? I totally agree with him. I'm all for Trump. Me too. I think I did watch a bit of the inauguration earlier. And I saw a part of his speech when the whole House stood up and they gave him a round of applause for a few things he said. But I didn't watch the rest because obviously I came on here. But I just think the guy is just brilliant. They've tried everything. They've tried to kill him twice. They've tried to put him in jail. They've tried to slander him. They've tried to make him out. He's going with hookers. He's doing this. He's doing that. I don't care what he's done. Do you know what it does prove? He's a human. He's a human being who makes mistakes. He's a multi-billionaire who's been bankrupt twice, and then still come back from his boots and started up and made money again. He's a clever guy, and people say, yeah, but he's in his 70s. Just look at him. He's not dithering around on the stage. He's not shaking. He's an odd-looking guy, yeah, with that hair and that orange skin. But when you listen to him speak, you can't help but listen to him and think, wow, if you can do what you say you're going to do, that guy's going to go down in history. If you don't make mistakes, you don't learn. Fred, you're absolutely right, and that goes for every single one of us. I think we've all made mistakes, massive mistakes. Some of us have made mistakes that in the lives have led to absolutely shocking situations as well. We've all done it. But you're right, you learn from mistakes, and it is true. We all learn from our mistakes. Let me see what else we got here. Trump said he would end the war in 24 hours. Yes, he did. I'm all for Trump. And me as well, Miss Yamu, definitely. But I am going to watch the rest of that inauguration later on. You're not into politics. If I'm honest, look what Boris Johnson did in COVID. Well, I mean, the COVID thing, we seen it from here in Spain. I mean, they locked us down pretty quickly. And it was about 3.5 weeks after that when the UK was locked down. We'd already been in lockdown 3 weeks. We were only in lockdown for about 6 weeks, was it, Kay, I think, yeah? About 6 weeks. Sorry, I've got an itch, it's not picking my nose. It was about 6 weeks we were in lockdown. We were allowed to sort of travel out to the supermarket. So most days I'd just nip out on my motorbike, I'd go down to the supermarket, stick some bits and bobs in the back of the box, milk, bread, the usual stuff. We chilled out. We had we weren't allowed to use the pool and things like that, but we had a jacuzzi up on the top of our terrace. So we just sort of enjoyed ourselves, but we were watching from the sidelines, and the UK was so far behind the curve. And then even when people were being told to wear masks, you know, and whatever your beliefs are about the COVID thing, I think a lot of it was bullshit. But it was mad how, like, if you're told to do something, people were just walking into supermarkets and without a mask and claiming they knew all the answers when really they didn't. I mean, we just took it over here. Listen, let's just put a mask on for a few weeks. Whether you believe in it or not, let's put a mask on. Let's do what they say. And after 6 weeks, the lockdown was ended. We all went out. Bars were allowed to open, but they were only allowed to open from sort of 12 till 6, but they still started making money. You were allowed on a terrace, but only every other table, so you had spaces. And it was a pain in the arse, but we did it. But we were looking from the outside, looking at the UK, and it just went on and on and on. That was because of Boris. Yeah, he screwed it up. He screwed it up right from day one. Locked everyone up and partying and doing what they did have a party, but I sort of look at that and they were all in a bubble. They were all being tested every morning, or so-called tested. They were all in a bubble. They were all it wasn't like they were sort of leaving Parliament and going home and having a party with people like that. They weren't sort of going to a club and they were in a bubble with like-minded people. You're right, it didn't look good, did it? When everyone else has got to stay at home, people couldn't visit family and care homes, people couldn't even go to funerals, you know, and they're pissing it up in the House of Commons. It's not a good look at all, and that cost him his premiership in the end. In the end, didn't it? Really, I mean, that was his downfall. People couldn't look beyond that. You know, he'd done a lot worse things than that when he was in government, but that's the one that everyone remembers because morally, you know, whether medically or whether he was actually putting anyone in danger is another matter. But morally, it was completely wrong. You know, you can't tell the masses to stay in the house, don't go out, do as we say, but don't do as we do, because, you know. But at the same time, let's face it, a lot of British people were all still partying. They were having garden parties, meeting in fields and all sorts. But you can't blame them when the government are having a party. You can understand why people said, bollocks to it, I'm going to go and have a party. Can't read your comments, your t-shirt is bright. My t-shirt's too bright. Let me turn this light down. Is that better? Tell me if that's better, Summer. Nana died in a car in 2020. We could only visit fully masked up. Yeah, there's a lot of that, Lisa, wasn't there? There was a lot of that. Like I say, there was like funerals as well. Is that better? Is that better? Perfect, Summer. Sorry, that's good feedback, that, because this light can go brighter and dimmer. Been left COVID vaccine injured. I worked in a nursing home at the time. I lost a Gunner 78. What's your proper name, if you don't mind me asking? And I hope you win the league this year, because I'm a Man United fan, and you know, and we can't have Liverpool winning it. And I'd be happy. Forest would be nice to win it, but I'd like to see you guys sort your shit out. I mean, you balls up the other day, didn't you? But it'd be nice to see you win the league. But I had a friend who he had asthma. I trained with him, and I told you about him the other night, Stuart, and he got the jabs. So he could go to the UK and visit his brother's son, his new nephew, Michael, and he'd never met him. So he went there, and he also went to see his grandkids, and he got the jabs, even though he was advised not to with his asthma, but he wanted to go and see his family. A few months later, he was in my shop at 3:15, 4:45 later, he travelled to a nearby beach, and he'd had a heart attack and died. And we still believe that was due to the fact that a healthy man who went to the gym 6 days a week with me, we spent 2.5 hours every day in the gym just pumping iron. We ate well, we trained well, we lived well. To just go for a walk along the beach one afternoon and just suddenly drop down dead like that with no underlying issues, I firmly believe that it was something to do with that jab he had. I got them. I had to get them for my business. I wish I hadn't. I'm angry that I did it. I'm angry that I fell foul to that, but I got a text message, be at a place, get your jab, and then 4 weeks later go and get another one. And we got the jab only because we couldn't open our business. If we didn't get it, we couldn't. You couldn't even go to McDonald's. You couldn't go in the bar unless you had this little certificate that you took with you in your bag and showed them that you'd had the jab. It was just ridiculous. And yet, there's so many people. Who took them jabs. I mean, it's no coincidence. You can read the news now. Still, young people as young as 22, 23-year-old, just heart attack, just dying on the spot. I mean, what kind of world we're living in when young, fit, virile people are just dying like that on the spot? Crazy. But again, this all comes back to mental health. I mean, you think of how many people were locked down. A lot of people locked down who had issues they weren't aware of, and they must have, gone stir crazy. It must have brought a lot of people's issues out. It must have done. I mean, I've spoken to people out here who said they didn't realise they had issues until they were locked down. And these are people who've sort of lost their wives or their husbands. They were locked down on their own. They're allowed to go out for a walk every day, but you couldn't go more than 50 metres from your home, just back and forward. So that's no fresh air. That's you couldn't socialise. If you were seen talking to your neighbour over a wall, somebody would be filming you and sending it to the police. That was the world we lived in. So that messed a lot of people up mentally. Now, for me, this is going to sound awful. Lockdown, that 6 weeks away from the world for me was unbelievable. It was just me, my wife, my son, and it was just unbelievable. It was just a bit of time for me to just switch my mind. It just settled my mind a little bit. But for anybody who didn't realise they had issues, I can imagine a lot of people struggling. I was 42, very fit, went to the gym every day, climb mountains, can hardly walk now. And is that a fact then, Gunner 70? Do you actually know that for a fact? Is that being told to you by someone that this is the effect of the jab? That's horrendous, that. I mean, for a young man of 40, I mean, you're only 42. I mean, that's no age. And you went to the gym every day, and I mean, climbing mountains, Jesus, go to the gym's hard enough, but climbing a mountain, I mean, yeah, that takes some fitness to climb a mountain. You need a good set of lungs on you, good powerful calves and thighs to climb mountains. And you can hardly walk now. That is horrendous. That is shocking. I actually enjoyed lockdown. My liver possibly did. Yeah, I must admit I was drinking a lot of red wine at the time, so it felt normal though, didn't it? Get up about 9:30 in the morning and just go, do you know what, I'll have a coffee, then I'll have a glass of wine with a coffee chaser. That's what I was doing. Getting up in the morning, coffee con leche, and then opening the bottle of red wine, and by about 8:30 at night, third bottle in. And because the wine out here is cheap, you get a decent bottle of wine out here for about €2, a good bottle of wine. It costs you about £8 in the UK, so decent bottle of red wine in Spain. So yeah, lockdown was all right for me. It was all right, and it was okay because we're classed as essential business. Mobile phones, we keep people out here connected. We keep everyone connected. Now, a lot of old people needed to be in contact with the family, video calls, so we were allowed to open certain hours of a day and provide our service because we were classed as essential work. So it was mainly me going into work most days. Kay stayed in literally all the way through it. I was nipping off to supermarkets and nipping off to work a few hours a day, and but yeah, we dealt with it pretty well. But I know a lot of people really struggled. But I heard today that they're talking about there's possibly going to be more lockdowns this year. There's something else kicking off in China, and they're worried about this, that, and the other. And you just sort of wonder to yourself, when's it going to end? And I worry about people's mental health when this happens. Stacey, yep, needs a mobility scooter. No, needs kicking. So that's 2 stories. It's triggered 2 autoimmune diseases. Oh, you're a girl. Okay, so that's why I said to you, what's your name? Because when you put a name on like Gunner 78, I presume you're a bloke. See, that's the world I live in. I'm a guy. I see a football badge. I presume you're a bloke. So I apologise for that. What is your name? 2 autoimmune diseases. And like I say, did they tell you, you've actually had the proof from the doctors that that was caused by the jabs? Tesco Club Card took lots of points in the alcohol aisle. I bet it did. But I can't imagine what it was like going shopping in the UK when the lockdown was on, because here it was. I mean, I remember coming from my home, crossing the roundabout to go to a supermarket, and there was a Scottish guy in his car. I've told loads of people this. He was in his car. The Guardia Civil had him, and they don't piss about. And I was coming, they stopped me and they said, basically, where you been? I said, I've been to supermarkets. On the back of the bike, a little box on the back of my motorbike, and I opened the box, showed him the milk and the bread and the cheese and the wine and more wine and more wine and more wine. and I had to show him the receipt. But at the time, there was a Scottish fella stood, and he has him and his wife and 2 kids. And the coppers were giving him a ticket, and I heard him. He was ranting and raving at the guard, and I'm thinking, you're going to get a truncheon around the back of your head in a minute, because they don't piss about out here. And all he was saying was, I had to leave the house because my kids were doing my head in. So basically, his kids were doing his head in. He put him in the car and went for a drive, and you weren't allowed to do that. If you want to go out, you go out on your own. You wear your mask in the supermarket, you do your shopping, you go back home. But this guy just decided, because his kids were doing his head in, they give him €1,000 fine on the spot. They give him €1,000 fine. Tesco Club, I like that one though, Lisa. Tesco Club card. I bet you've still got it. I bet you're still spending them points. Yeah, it's triggered 2 and you're a girl. Where are we? You had to stand on a circle for about an hour in the trolley queue every week. I mean, we seen it from here. We used to look and you could see the supermarkets in the UK, like the queues are down the road. It wasn't like that here in Spain. I mean, I did go to, was it Lidl I went to one day? Lidl's completely different here to the UK, but went into Lidl and there was a queue. There was about 4 or 5 people deep at the door, and you basically had to just, basically the trolley was a metre, wasn't it? That's how they did it. So you literally a foot behind the person, you had your trolley in front of you, and that was your distance. But they all had masks on, everyone went in, no one was moaning. You go in, you get your stuff, and you leave. And it was pretty, but we could see it in the UK. Some of the queues outside the Asda stores and places like that, they were mental. I remember saying to my missus, look at that queue. Look at that, there's no way I'd stand. I'd rather starve, or I'd rather wait until, I'd rather go fisting on them on, or shop through the night, you know, because I know a lot of supermarkets in the UK are open through the night. I'd probably rather go on a night. People were going and buying, yeah, toilet rolls, that's it. I mean, did people shit more during the COVID? I mean, did it make you shit more? I mean, why did people need to be buying all these? It was almost like something off a movie, wasn't it? Like, you know, you'd had the 4-minute warning and everyone panics and just buys everything on the shelves. I mean, you were still allowed to go to supermarkets. I mean, it's almost akin to Christmas. When it's Christmas time, the shops are shut for one day. People buy 40 pints of milk and 400 eggs, and they've got mum and dad coming around for dinner. You think, well, what do you need all that stuff for? It's crazy. But yeah, we could see them all queuing up outside Asda buying the toilet rolls. The shelves was empty. It was tight. Yeah, they weren't like that here. They were never like that here. They just, I don't know, everyone here seemed to cope with it better. Everyone here just seemed to, it wasn't sort of every man for himself. Everyone just seemed to sort of be a bit more considerate, and plus the fact the supermarkets weren't letting people just go in there and buy 50 toilet rolls, you know. There was the odd person, you'd fill a trolley with like 5 packs of toilet rolls, and you know, and I understand it if you went out and you did that and then you thought, right, I'm not going to leave the house for another week, and you did a week's shopping. But I deliberately just went and got everything I needed each day, so it gave me an excuse to go out on my bike, you know, and go to the supermarket. As long as I kept my receipt and the police stopped me on the way, I would say, well, I've been to the supermarket. There's nothing they could do. And it was just an excuse for me to get out every single day and just have a bit of fresh air. And it was good for me, for my mental health as well, just to get out a bit of fresh air and then go home, open the wine, and get in the hot tub, just spend all day up on the terrace. And I mean, it was April, May time here, so it was starting to get warm as well in the May. Starting to get warm early May. The sky was so blue and beautiful, no planes, that was the best thing. Yeah, you're right. I mean, and you know what? That was a time when the world had a chance to reset itself, didn't it? And then look what's happened since. The world's just gone mad. I mean, that was a time when the whole world literally could have just for one day just turned off the grid. Everything, just for an hour, just turn everything off. Everyone just sit still, no electric, no mobile phones, just turn the whole world off for an hour. We were almost there anyway. And let's just reboot and let's all start again and make it a better place. But look what's happened to the world since then. It's just gone mad. You're right, everywhere's just crazy. You were gonna book a holiday to Alicante, but you were too paranoid. Well, the thing is, as well, I think the British people didn't do themselves any favours because they were refusing to go by the laws and wear the masks. They were even doing it in airports here and getting arrested. They were refusing to get on airplanes and wear masks. So that's why eventually the Spanish went, right, you're not coming in. The Spanish were trying to fight this so-called disease that we were supposed to have had, this bad flu. Because that's all it was. It was a flu. And they were trying to fight it, and they were trying, and the people, the Spanish people and the British people who live here, were all trying to be pretty respectful of it, and trying to just abide by the rules. The quicker we do it, the quicker we get out of it, no matter what we believe, whether we believe it's right or wrong. Everyone just wanted to get through it. But then what was happening is the British people wanted to fly to Spain, and they weren't wanting to wear masks and stuff. So in the end, the Spanish just went, right, sod it, you're not coming in. And that was a shame because the Spanish economy took a hit. Are you going to go this year? Why are you paranoid to coming to Alicante? You mean in case something else happens again this year? It's probably just scaremongering. As my missus told me, and there's a few other people have said it to me about, have you seen what's going on in China? I think there's going to be another sort of a COVID kind of thing, but I don't know. I'm not sure. But again, it does make you worry about people's mental health, and someone said earlier on that the mental health situation in the UK is just off the scale, and it is, but I think it's all around the world. I mean, the Americans, the amount of money they spend, pharmaceutical companies a year, billions and billions and billions and billions in medication for mental health is just crazy. In case you don't come back home, is that a bad thing? Is that a bad thing? Really, if you can't come back home? No, I get what you're saying. I think if you book somewhere now, I think if something was happening, you get your money back, wouldn't you? I don't know. It's probably just scaremongering. Paranoid of going missing. Yeah, it's not that bad here. I mean, it isn't that bad. I think over recent weeks, there's obviously with the situation we got involved with John, and young men getting involved in drugs and things like that in Spain going missing. Yeah, but I think if you're coming over on a holiday and you're in a holiday location, you're with your family and your friends and that, I think you're fine. You're not going to do a lockdown again. And there's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of people, if you're not going to do a lockdown again because it'll send you over the edge going to 78. I totally agree with that. I don't want to do one. I'm enjoying life at the moment, even though I have my bad days and stuff. I am enjoying life at the moment. We're in January now. We've got about another 3 or 4 weeks of February now. Weather here starts warming up. We get into March, we start everything sort of 25, 26 in the afternoon, then the clocks go forward into March. We get into April, we have sort of a showery month, but I love April here. I love it when it just pisses down. I can get up, go to work, I'm in the office all day, come home, I don't have to go out. We can let it rain, it clears all the decks, cleans everything, gets plenty of water in the reservoirs and in the canals and everything ready for the summer coming. And then we have, as you know, an amazing summer. We're in sort of 46, 47 degrees. And it's amazing right through till sort of October. May to October is just a wonderful place to be. So yeah, I don't want to be locked down. But again, I know if that happened here, people would be, well, I'm saying that they were respectful last time. Whether there would be this time, I don't know. But I think a lot of governments have learned lessons from last time. I think if there was a chance of there being some kind of a disease, as they say, and it was going to affect humans and take lives, then I think governments would act. I think they learned a lot of lessons from the last time. I don't think they'd be sitting on their hands thinking, well, shall we or shan't we lock down? I think they'd just do it. I think the easiest way to do it first is just shut the borders. Shut your border, contain what's there. But what they did do, they locked everyone down, but they left the borders open. People were still coming and going. It was getting worse and worse and worse. And I think they learned a lot of lessons from it. But I don't think there'll be a lockdown. I think the governments have learned a lot from the last time. I think they clamped down on things pretty quickly. Do I live by the ocean? We live about, if I was jumping my car, how long does it take this time of night? To drive to the ocean from here is about 10, 12 minutes. It's about 14 kilometres away from where we are. The best ocean from us here is a place called Guadamar. It's beautiful. And we got La Mata Beach, and further on you got Torrevieja, and then we got to Cabaroig, which is another place, and then you go the other way, you go up to like Santa Pola. So that's my dog just up there, my little puppy, my little XL Bully Micro. She's just yelped because our kitten, because she won't leave the kitten alone, the kitten's just swiped her right across her face, and she scratched her. And you know what? That's unlucky. Yeah, I just let them get on with it. The wife comes in and sorts them out, and she gets all upset. What if she loses an eye? Then she loses an eye. She won't do it again, will she? But yeah, we don't live too far. About 12 to 15 minute drive. It's lovely as well. The beaches here are beautiful. But I'm not a beach person. I don't mind. We often say we're going to go down on a night when it's sort of, in the summer when it's sort of 9, 10 o'clock, when it's quiet. But you can't have a barbecue on the beach and things like that. You can't be taking barbecues, but you can take picnic baskets, sit on a night when it's cooler. I mean, it's still 38, 39 degrees in the summer on a beach at that time of night, but that's the best time to go. I'm not one for sitting on the beach during the day when they're absolutely rammed. I just can't be doing with that. Does my head in. Do you speak Spanish? Lived in Gran Canaria for 3 years, but only knew a few phrases. Yeah, I do all right. I understand a lot more than I speak. Kay's getting better now. I picked it up a bit quicker than Kay. But again, because we live in an area where there's a lot of British people, we tend to speak more English than we do Spanish. But we have a good mix of customers now in our shop. We have a lot of Spanish, but a lot of them do speak a bit of English. I tend to use some of the translation apps, just speak into them. Because when they start speaking a bit too fast, I'm sort of like, whoa, tranquilo, so they slow them down. But I have a lot of Spanish, a lot of Russian, Ukrainian, Norwegians, Belgians, French, Dutch, German. We have a lot of different nationalities, coming to our store. But yeah, we do speak Spanish. I know enough to have conversations. When the delivery guys come, we have conversations. We can go into supermarkets and we can have a full-blown conversation, and certain words, we get wrong. But I suppose it's the other way around. If a Spaniard come to England and start speaking English, they get a few words wrong, and you can't help but smirk. And they do with us sometimes. We speak and a little smirk, and it's not them being disrespectful. It's because the way you've said your word, maybe the wrong way around. You've probably changed the whole sentence just by that one word. And it's the grammar as well. The grammar's all male and female, isn't it? So, it can be a bit difficult. It's the smaller words that you put in between the main words is the harder bit. It's easy to learn words of items, but it's the little words putting your sentences together what people struggle with. Once you sort of get the gist of that, and it's a great feeling, when you can go somewhere and it's a Spanish place and you can go in there and you can speak Spanish to them and you come away, and when you first start doing, you get a real buzz. Obviously now we take it a bit for granted because we go into places, we have conversations and in Spanish. But Kay's funny though, because she only knew sort of a few words for a while, so every time she went somewhere, she just used them few words no matter what the freaking conversation was. And they used to look at her sometimes and just smile. I used to say, what you just said there? She said, no, I don't care, I just said something Spanish. And it was quite funny. She's going to smack me on the head later on. We have a mobile phone business, and Kay has a pet superstore. It's over 2 floors, so she's got a pet store on the top, and downstairs we've got live animals, and young kids can come and they can interact with the animals, like chickens and rabbits and tortoises and things like that. But that's only a new business. That's just slowly. We've just had to change some things. There's been a bit of an issue with the business, the name of the business, legality with that. Kay's business partners sort of. Sort of not business partner. It was us that funded the business, but Kay's business partner sort of shit on her basically. So she's gone out the door, and we've got to sort of redo that. So in the next few weeks that'll be reopening. But that's Kay's baby. That it's gonna be really good, and that's what the TV company we're going to film. And the kiddies coming in and interacting with your tortoises and your rabbits, and like you say, we have chickens. Chickens are amazing. We got them. They were like this big, these tiny little things, and over the space of about 3 weeks, they're like that. They're massive, but like they just come out the chicken run and they just pluck around your feet, and you can just pick it up. You can literally just pick it up because they just become domesticated with your chickens. They really are quite good. They stink. The downstairs is like a cellar, and it's all been done. Different areas for the animals, and it's quite a novel little kind of place. It's not like somewhere else out here that we've seen. So it was a bit of a brainchild of Kay what to do with it. And obviously we're now starting to see that all come to fruition. So she's got a pet store. We've got a pet store, and we've also got a mobile phone shop. But they say we come to Spain, we don't get a chance to party and go out all over the place because we're busy. We've been busy for the last 7-8 years building the businesses and building our reputation. So one day when we do retire and we hand them over to our son, we've got enough money to retire on, and then we can sort of start living the life that everyone thinks that you're living over in Spain. People think you live in Spain and you're just living this wonderful life, but trust me, it's hard work. You've got to work hard, you've got to pay your taxes, and the taxes can be quite large at times. You just got to keep your nose clean, you've got to work, keep yourself to yourself, and just get by. You just get by, and it's a lovely place to live, Spain, if you just keep yourself to yourself and, keep your circle small. Because there's a lot of characters out here who are only too happy to rip you off and shit on you. We've learned only too well about that because we're trusting people. As you know, we're quite kind people. We like to help people out. We like to see the best in people. But yeah, you do tend to fall foul of people if you're trusting. And, you know, there's quite a lot of characters I think come from the UK, come to here, not with the best intentions, if you know what I mean. But yeah, you got to come here, you got to work, you've got, you know, I mean, there's a lot of people, we call them Ryanair diplomas, you know, they were probably a bricky's mate in the UK, but they get on that flight and then when they get off this side, you know, they're a 25-year time served builder, and you want to see some of the stuff that they build. It's just horrendous, and old people are getting ripped off. They're leaving deposits, and there's shoddy builders, and a lot of them tend to be British as well. And it's bad because it gives the honest ones of us, the ones who are working hard and paying your taxes and trying to do everything right, a bad name. So yeah, but yeah, it's a lovely place to be, Spain. You've got to keep your wits about you at all times. You do, yeah, you do, and that's everywhere. Like you say, we live in this kind of world where it's just everywhere now. The world, like I said, after the lockdown, the world had an opportunity then. It had an opportunity there to reset itself and clean slate and start again, and for everyone to just end the wars and, you know, have a lot more peace. But it just seems to have gone worse, doesn't it? It's almost like everyone got locked down, got all this built up aggression. Everyone's just come out fighting, full of shit. They're just full of it. Everyone just wants to have a fight. Countries fighting, Middle East, Russia, Ukraine. Everyone's arguing. No one's getting on. It's quite sad, isn't it? Really. So yeah, but we haven't had much chance the last hour really talking about mental health. But I think a lot of what we spoke about leads into mental health, such as the COVID situation. That brought a lot of people's issues to the surface, and I think since COVID, there's a lot of people who've realised that they've got mental health issues. Earlier on I was saying it'd be nice if somebody's interested, anybody who's struggling to come on here one night with me for a live. We'll just do a 1 hour live, the pair of us together, and we'll literally limit to 1 hour, and I'll ask them some questions, and if they're willing to be honest and open and answer some questions about their mental health and their struggles. And I'm hoping in the next few weeks, and I think a lot of you have been sort of communicating with Kay on here tonight, the next few weeks, if I can maybe get Kay on with me, we'll get the camera moved back, we'll probably sit ourselves on the sofa, we'll get the camera on the stand, and we'll just sit, and me and Kay will probably just have a conversation and hopefully get her on live. Just speaking and talking and addressing mental health in a safe space. Yeah, and that's what it is, isn't it? Like I said earlier, if somebody's ever going to come out and say them 4 words, I need some help, they've got to feel comfortable. You know, they're not just going to sit in a pub with a group of people while you're all, you know, having a bit of a laugh and just come out and go, oh, I need some help, and start talking about the feelings and the problems. They're not. You've got to feel comfortable. You've got to feel safe. You've got to feel like in the right environment. You know, so you're absolutely spot on there, Kirsty. It's got to feel right. But like I've said on here, I'm going to be going shortly, but like I've said on here, my inbox is always open. So anybody on there who wants to talk, just send a message. And if there's anything you want to say and you don't want to come on here and say it, but you're happy for me to say it for you, and, you know, I will say it. But if anybody's interested in coming on live with me one night, that would be absolutely fantastic. That's what I'd like to do. Because I think I've probably gone as far as I can just talking about. I don't want to sit and talk about myself. We've done that twice now, and we've sort of waffled a bit tonight. We've gone off about COVID. We've gone off about the UK. And although it's been great chatting, I think we're at the point now where it'd be nice to get someone on, get somebody else on, somebody who's suffering. I tell you what would be amazing. I'd love to get somebody on who's suffering from BPD the same as me. That would be amazing to hear their side of their BPD. And that's not me dissing anyone else's mental health. I want to help all mental health. But I'd love it if someone who had BPD to give me a message, and we'll both have an hour one night and we'll have a chat on here, and we'll go live and we'll get people in, and I'll ask you questions, you can ask me questions, and that'd be fantastic actually, because I would love to speak to somebody else who's got BPD. I really would love to do that. I'd love to hear how their life is, how their day-to-day is, and I know there's a lot of similarities. I mean, I read up on BPD when I got my diagnosis, and it says you struggle maintaining relationships, you struggle in friendships, you know, you jump from job to job to job, your personality's never the same from 1 hour to the next, and I remember reading it and I was like, fuck, that's me, and there's a lot of people on TikTok who sort of have their own pages and they've got BPD, and I've sent a little message, and when you listen to their stories and they describe it, you're like, yep, that's exactly the same as me. They're the same as me. But I'd like to actually sit and talk to somebody on here one night live. So Prashir sounds great. Zoe, can I ask a personal question? Do you have any? Do you suffer from mental health? I take it you're on here listening, so there must be something. My son has it, and if he came on, he would. How old is he, Misha Moo? How old is he, your son? Because he sounds like me. That's me. I mean, but you do know. I mean, it's a mask. It is a mask. I mean, people with BPD, we always like to be life and soul of the party. That's what we want to be. Yeah, and my son. So, and what is it you suffer with, Zoe? Is it BPD? He's 20. So would he be willing to come on here, Misha Moo? I mean, that would be interesting. Because he's only young as well, I find that fascinating, because I would have loved to have had a diagnosis at that age. I mean, when I was 20-year-old, I mean, I was born in 71, so people really didn't start talking about the feelings in the 80s and 90s. It was only when we sort of got into the noughties and you know, mental health was, for a time, it was like it was cool to have mental health, wasn't it? It went a bit daft, but back then when I was younger, I was in the forces, so there was no way of me being in the forces I could go up to a sergeant or a captain and just sit him down and say, sir, I think I've got some issues, I need some help, because I'd have just been chased straight out the office. Autism, anxiety, and depression. And how do you and your son cope through the day with that, Zoe? I'll ask him. He's so open and so mature and empathetic. And what's his name, Misha? And also, when was he diagnosed? That'll be interesting. But again, go back. I wish I could have got a diagnosis when I was younger. It would have made a massive difference to me. Obviously, I didn't get diagnosed till I was, 2000? About 10, 12 years ago. And it answered a lot of questions for me, like the situations I've been in my past. But it's a good thing that your son's got that diagnosis now, because, like I say, it's not an excuse for any behaviour when you're going through your life, but at least now people know he has borderline personality disorder, so people can be a lot more forgiving around him. You know, if he's acting in a particular manner, whether it be manic or depressed, people understand him, and you know, I envy him for that, actually, because I wish I could have had that when I was a bit younger, instead of going through my life making so many fuck up after fuck up and getting into situations with jobs and relationships and friendships, and just, you know, going through so many different friendships and things and jobs, and then when you get older, realising why you did that. He had to come out of school. He had a few attempts, but luckily doing better. Right, let me read that again. So Zoe, he had to come out of school. He had few attempts, but luckily doing better. He's got a wee part-time job. What's his job? What's he doing? If you don't mind me asking. When you say he had a few attempts, are you saying he attempted to take his life? Is that what you're saying? And he's got a little part-time job. What's his part-time job? Yeah, that's what happened. Okay, Zoe, yeah, I get you. Well, I'm going to let you into a little secret. My son, who lives here with us, he had a bit of a bad spell this year, and he attempted something like that. It wasn't a very nice period to be around. But it was a very, very difficult time for us. So I feel for you there. I can hear my wife in the other room. She's huffing and sighing. I don't think she wanted me to disclose that information, but I am, because we are going to be honest on here. But he's doing great now. He's doing great. And like I say, we've got this business, and this is partly for him as well. He comes into work now, and he's with the animals. He feeds them and he cleans them, and he's working. He's got a purpose, and that's what young people need now. They need a purpose. We Bargain Bookstore has a lovely few friends, and that is a big thing, isn't it? It's about having friends, and do his friends understand his illness? Because it is an illness, isn't it? You know, it is an illness. Very impulsive spending too. And I have a ferret who was like his emotional support animal. Right, I get that, yeah. But that's the thing, that's when you're manic, that's when the impulsive spending happens. You buy stuff you don't want. You buy things because you're happy, because you think it's going to make you feel better. And then what happens a few weeks later, when you realise you're skint and you can't pay your bills, and the depression kicks in. And it's an endless cycle. It's been an endless cycle like that through my life. But that's common with a lot of mental illness, that Even anxiety and depression, when people are depressed, but then when they come out of that depression, they go out spending. And it is just an up and down all of the time. And there's no real... You can't say to somebody, when they're feeling good, don't have a good time, don't go out shopping, don't spend money, don't go to bars, don't get drunk, don't... You can't, can you? You can't say to someone, don't have a good time. Same as you can't say to someone, stop being depressed. Yeah, it was tough. You're a nurse. Let me have a look. There you go. Yeah, it was tough. I'm a nurse and a fixer. When you say a fixer, explain that. When you say a fixer, I imagine like a Hollywood movie, or the man in the middle who's like, fixing things for people. Hard to be a patient. Yeah, it is. Especially if you're a nurse, I can imagine it's hard to be a patient. It is because you've got to switch your emotions, haven't you? One side you've got to be caring and you've got to look after the person. On the other side you've got to be the patient and be looked after and be cared for. I get that. It is. I think it's tough for any parent, isn't it, to see a child struggling, especially when it's like when you see anybody that you love struggling, no matter what it may be, whether it be with their mental health, grief, anything. You feel helpless. You want to be able to have the answers as somebody who loves your son or your wife or your husband or whatever. You want to be able to have the answers. You want to be able to just make everything better for them, but you can't. And sometimes you can't find the words, and sometimes words aren't enough. You've just got to be there for people. If they haven't heard from him, call around to take him out for a wee spin. So that's his friends. You're saying if his friends haven't heard from him, they'll just... Right. I get what you mean. Yeah. So you're a fixer. Yeah. So you contacted when... Yeah, it's exactly what I meant by being a fixer, yeah. So when your son... when they haven't heard from you, just get in touch with the friends and they come and pick him up. That's a good thing, yeah. That is good because you need friends. Young ones have got to have friends, or they've got to be in touch with people. They need to be around people their own age. And that's a problem with a lot of young people these days, aren't they? Socially, a lot of young people have social anxiety and they struggle in circles. And I must admit, I'd find it hard. I'd find it hard being a young man in the world today. Everything's scrutinised, everything you do, you've got to behave a certain way. I'm fortunate I was brought up in the sort of 70s and 80s when boys were boys, girls were girls, and, that was it. Boys went on the field and played football. Girls skipped and played hopscotch, and life was much simpler then. And you called for your mates, you'd play out till the lights went off, and then you'd go home, you'd have a quick scrub, you'd go to bed, you went to school, and as you got older, it was simple. You got older, boy meets girl, go to a nightclub, have a dance, get drunk, go to work, and life was so simple. Now it's so much harder for these young people. They live in a world where everything's scrutinised, everything, a bit of behaviour they do, every word they use. They've got to use the right words. And with the power of social media as well, everything they do, everything you do. I mean, I could make mistakes as a young man, and only a few people would hear about it because the people that were there. Now you make a mistake in public or you do something that's embarrassing, and the whole world can see it. 1 minute you're a meme on the internet, you've gone viral for a slip in public or something that you do. So, life was a lot simpler back then. Life is a lot more difficult for young people, and until recently, I used to sort of think to myself, I don't understand why young people are having mental health issues. They've not had any life experiences to have mental health issues, but I think a lot of things that can happen with younger people when they're younger can have effect on them, but also I think younger people get into a certain age in life, get into their 15s, 16s, 17s, and they've got to go out in the world. I think they're realising just how tough the world is. When we were raised, we were raised quite tough. We got smack around the ear. You got screamed and shouted at. You got sent to bed, and sometimes you got sent to bed without any tea. And you were prepared. You were toughened up for life. So when you got to an age where you went to work, you were the dog's body at work. You swept up. You made the tea. And you got sort of picked on a little bit by the guys at work, but it was all part of your grounding. That doesn't happen now. Our kids are protected so much, and when they go into the real world, they're not protected. I don't think they're protected as much, or they're not set up for the real world like we were as kids. And I think that's why a lot of kids now, a lot of younger people, and I've started to understand that now, why a lot of younger people are struggling. It tends to be a lot of anxiety. A lot of young people tend to be suffering with anxiety, and I get that because it must be such a tough world for them to suddenly come from school, where they are really, really, really protected, to then going into the big wide world. So yeah. Is the W way of getting it live? Right, what does that say there? Is the W way of getting into an iPhone, as my mate's son ended his life last year, and a clue in the phone? Is there a way of getting into an iPhone? Yeah, well, the only problem with iPhone is if you don't know the PIN code on it, the only way to get into it is you've got to wipe the phone. And once you wipe that phone, then the issue you've got is to go back into it, you'd need the iCloud password. It's not as simple. If you've got an iPhone and you've got the original receipt in the box, you could go to Apple and they can unlock it for you without removing the data. That's the only way. If it was a case, I mean, there was a case in America years ago where there was a criminal and the evidence was on his phone and the FBI took Apple to court. And Apple won because Apple said, if we allow the FBI access to this guy's phone, then that's our unique selling point to our customers. So they actually won the case against the FBI. So there's no way you can actually get into it, police or anyone like that, even if it's a criminal case. It is difficult to get information out of an iPhone if you don't know passcodes and PIN codes. That's the problem. And that's something that we just struggle with at work. There's so many people that have a lovely iPhone, don't know their iCloud passwords or anything like that. And it's very difficult to get into them. Yeah, you're right. Exactly what I've just said there. We don't build enough resilience in our kids like we did. Like I said, we as kids, you misbehaved at home. I mean, you get smacked around the ear. Simple as that. You get sent to bed without any supper. Did it kill us? No, it didn't. Did it upset us? Yeah. Did we do it again? Yeah, we probably did. But, we certainly got punished. So at least we knew that with bad behaviour, it had consequences. Kids don't have any consequences. If kids misbehave now, you can't smack them. You can't shout at them, because we live in a world where kids are told if your parents shout at you, then you can phone the police and you can have your parents arrested. I mean, what message is that giving to children? And so this all goes into mental health. I mean, kids are growing up now in this bubble where the world is such a shiny place, and then when they get in the real world, they're all getting this anxiety. A lot of them are getting anxiety, and a lot of them are struggling because of this. So yeah, we didn't build up enough resilience in our kids. I mean, I lived in a world where if adults said the F word or any swear word, adults could swear and adults could smoke. But you knew as a child that if you swore, you got a smack around the ear hole, and it was as simple as that. Now we live in a world where people say, don't swear around my children. And I think to myself, why? Do you not raise your children to tell them that word's wrong and that adults are allowed to swear? I mean, swearing is part of life. We all swear. I know people who used to say they don't swear, and then I jump on a football pitch and I'm playing football against them, and the air is blue, so you do swear. We all swear at some point or other. But we just grew up in a world where mums and dads could swear, and we knew that we weren't allowed to swear, and if we did swear, we got into trouble for it. We knew there'd be a consequence. Kids now are raised where they're just wrapped in cotton wool, aren't they? They're just wrapped in cotton wool, given everything that they want, and then when it comes to the big wide world, it's a massive kick in the nuts for them, and that's why a lot of them, I think, are struggling with society. They're not prepared for it. That's exactly what the problem is, Jay. Parents can't be parents any longer. Well, they're not your kids. I don't believe the kids are your kids now. I believe that you have these children and you're told when you can take them on holiday, and you've got to take them on holiday when it's holiday time, when the prices are twice as much, So you're being dictated to when you can take your kids on holiday. Teachers can take a strike day at school. They can have a day off for more pay, but if you want to take your kid out of school one day because, I don't know, you've got a family function to go to and you don't want your kid to miss it, you're going to get a fine. But sorry for the teachers, they can take a day off. You can't raise your kids how you want to. The government tell you how you can raise them. So the government are raising your kids. You're just looking after them. You're the one who has to pay for them with whatever money you've got left that the government let you keep. And that is true. Where years ago, we were raised. Some people lived tougher lives, but I had a tough childhood. A lot of people had tough childhoods, but you still know right from wrong. You still knew that if, as a kid, you did something naughty, there'd be a consequence. You get a clip around the ear, or you get sent to bed, or you'd be grounded. Now you can't do that to kids. There's no punishment. You're not allowed to punish them because, as a parent, you're the one who's, You hear of it. You hear of parents getting arrested because the kids have phoned the police because mum and dad shouted at them. I mean, Jesus, what kind of world is that? And it's not the kids' fault. This is society. This is what society's creating. You say fuck's sake most days. I say fuck's sake every morning when I wake up. I just say, fuck's sake, not another day at work. But yeah, we do. We swear. And going back to that, as kids, you knew adults were allowed to swear and you weren't allowed to swear. So I don't get what all this is. You don't swear around my little children. Don't swear. And these people who bring kids into a pub, and they come into a pub and you stood at the bar with your mates, and I'm a big guy. I stand with mates. I effing blind. We effing and Jeff, and we're watching the football. We say, well, I can get in there, and there'll be someone like, shh, there's kids in the corner, and you feel like just turn around and say, well, take them out, because this is a pub. If they don't like swearing, that's your problem. Take your kids outside. This is a pub. This is where I come to be with my mates, to have a few drinks, for us to be loud and watch the football. We don't, so you get what I'm saying there. They're wrapped in cotton wool, and everyone else around them has to pander to these parents who want to raise the kids a certain way. As far as I'm concerned, if you want to go in a pub with your kids, they need to start making pubs where these soft parents with the soft children can go. They got them, haven't they? Soft plays and places like that. Take your kids there, but don't come into a pub where it's mainly men on a Saturday with the football shirts and all sat watching football, telling them all to shush when they say a bad word. Yeah, they're on about not allowing homeschooling now as well. I mean, again, that should be a parent's choice. I mean, what if you've got a child who really struggles socially and going to school, they're getting bullied, and we know it happens. There's a lot of bullying. And your child doesn't want to go to school. They're not developing at school. They're not excelling in any other education at school because they're too worried about the bullies or fitting in socially. But when your child's at home, around people who love them and care for them and have their best interest at heart, and you could homeschool them, why not? Why should anybody be able to tell you how to raise your kid? But this is what I go back to what I'm saying. The governments are raising your children, and this is all leading to the mental health problem. All this is leading to mental health issues in children because they're being told what to do from people who they don't even know. Children respect the parents, and they'd have a lot more respect for parents, if it was the parents that were raising them. But a lot of the time it's not as it is. It's governments raising your children. You're just looking after them for about 16, 17 years, and then you're going to throw them into this big bad world that they're not prepared for. And that's where the issues are coming from. We aren't allowed to parent our own children. Yeah, that's exactly what I've said. Remember to be kind to yourself. Remember to be kind to yourself, Carlton female. I homeschool my 14-year-old at the minute. He has ADHD and autism and really struggling. And how's he getting on with it? How's he getting on with that, Gunnar? Is he doing better at home being homeschooled? I mean, this is what we're just on about there. Your opinion. I mean, obviously with them issues, he's going to struggle in school. He's going to struggle in school, isn't he? My son, he did struggle at school. He fell foul to the bullies and stuff, and it's not nice to see. Some kids just don't. Some kids do struggle at school, and to make a child go to school when they're struggling and it's really, really affecting them, I think that's wrong. And if you think the best thing for your child is to homeschool them, then as a parent, you should be allowed to make that choice. You pulled your daughter out the education system and all that. We did many years ago with our son. We took him out. He was being bullied. It got to the point where the bully turned up at our house one night. I was in the front room, and my son came down the stairs, shouted, "It's just my friend." And then I heard my son running up the stairs, and this young lad running from the door. He kicked the door. He threatened my son in his own home. So the next day I went to the school, and they told us there's nothing we can do. It happened outside of school. We were like, well, that's just crazy. This kid had a school uniform on as well. Yeah, and the next night, these same kids picked on my son, and he retaliated and picked a twig up off the floor and smacked this kid round the leg with a twig. 45 minutes later, the police arrived at my house and said, "Your son's assaulted somebody." The school had phoned the police. So the night before, they couldn't do anything because it happened outside school, and this kid came to my home. The night after, when my son defended himself, they sent the police to the house to have a word with my son. So can you imagine a kid who's been picked on, and the police come to his house and he hasn't done anything wrong? And this is the world that we're living in. So we eventually took him out of school. We actually put a post on that same school. Somebody in the area had actually hung himself a few months earlier. A young boy had suffered bullying in that school to the point where he took his own life, and it was a massive story in our area. And I put a post on the Facebook about what happened to my son, and the response to it was phenomenal. The school contacted me and asked me to take the post down. I said, not in a million years. And it's funny, you went into the school and there's a big plaque on the wall, and it was basically a bullshit plaque, and it was basically like they excel, their bullying campaign, anti-bullying campaign. It's right there on the wall. You walk in there, and I'm going in there to speak to the teacher about the bullying that the kids are receiving, and you've got this plaque in your face. I just looked at it and I thought, I know where this conversation's going. So yeah, that's the world we live in. It's happening all over the place. And if kids are being bullied or they're not fitting in at school, why are you not allowed to have the right to take your child out of school and homeschool them? He's in a mainstream school and he knows he's different to the other kids. But different's not bad though, is it? He never got the help he needed the last few years. One second. He never got the help he needed the last few years. The school really let him down. And do you know what, Gunnar? This is a theme on here, isn't it? It's hard to engage. He's waiting on some statement to get into a special anxiety though through the roof. Yep, because that's the problem. There's so many kids who are trying to get into these schools where they need sort of some of them need one-on-one teachers, don't they? They need one-on-one education, and they're not getting it. But the schools are letting kids down. That is a fact. They're letting kids down, aren't they? You know, they're teaching them shit that's not going to serve them any purpose in life. I mean, I've never understood why, if a kid struggles education-wise, and let's say by the age of 9, 10-year-old, that school knows if that kid's going to be in the top 10%, 20%, 30%, they know what that kid's skills are, whether he's good at English, maths, physics, biology, whatever it may be. Yet they're still forcing these kids at 15, 16-year-old to do algebra, and some kids are still struggling doing, multiplication and division at that age, So why force them to do something that they're not going to go on and be a doctor, they're not going to go on and be a brain scientist, so why fill them stuff? Why not educate them in other areas? So if kids are struggling socially, put these kids in classes, these kids who are struggling, put them in classes with like-minded children and teach them together. Then you don't have to take them out of school. You don't have to be in a mainstream class with all the cool kids, as they say, the brighter kids who are going to go on to college and stuff. Put these kids in rooms with similar kids and teach them skills that they're going to benefit from in life. So instead of filling the heads full of bullshit, algebra and stuff they're not going to need, how about teaching them life skills? Because they're going to need them more than they're going to need algebra, aren't they? And I just think the school lets a lot of kids down. They're just setting this path, aren't they? This is the curriculum. We've got to teach you this. And if you can't learn it, then tough. We're going to fail you. Well, I didn't pass any exams at school. I joined the army very, very young, didn't bother. I'm a bright guy, and I know if I went back and took them now, I'd smash them, but it make no odds to me. I think if kids can fit into life and find their path in life, they'll succeed. They don't have to have the brains of Britain. They don't have to excel at school. They don't have to be, all A-star plus students. Them are the students who are going to go off and they want to be lawyers and they want to be doctors. But half of them go to college and study hair and makeup, don't they? Let's face it. How many colleges are full of shit courses that are going to serve them no purpose whatsoever? You get your small 1 or 2% who go off and be lawyers, accountants, doctors, brain surgeons, that kind of thing. Why are they being taught the same things as kids who aren't going to learn? Put the kids who are struggling into a separate class and teach them life skills rather than stuff that they can't learn. Kids have been struggling for 13, 14 years at school, never got to grips with maths and things like that. Why keep shoving it down their faces? Teach them some skills that they're going to need in life. And I think you'll find that the mental health problem is not going to go away, but it's going to be a hell of a lot more improved by teaching these kids the skills that they're going to need in life. Coping mechanisms have been in social environments, environments that they're currently struggling with. But if you teach them life skills, I think you're going to go a long way to helping a lot of these kids. I have 3 kids out of 5 that are high needs. My son dropped out of school at 13. Principal told me I could change school when he was bullied. That's mad, isn't it? That's what we were told about our son. It's probably best, when we said we were going to homeschool, it's probably best if you homeschool. So basically what they were saying was, if you take him out of the equation, then we won't have a problem. The problem's going to go away. But it was our son that was being bullied. So yeah, it happens. How many people have been on here just in this last 10, 15 minutes who spoke about this mental health in young children? 12, 13, 14-year-old kids. And most of you have said you're either going to take your kids out of school or the school's recommended that you take the kids out of school. What is that? What is that teaching our kids? That's the school basically saying to the kids, well, we can't teach you and we don't want to deal with your problems. So you know what? Just go home. That's shocking. You think you should be getting some practical lesson on money, loans, credit stores. Yeah, but you know what? You're right. Teach kids about that. Teach kids about how you act in certain situations, because they're not learning that at school. They're just learning this one-dimensional educational curriculum which is okay for that few percent who are going to go on and be brain surgeons and whatnot. But for your average kid, average kids who are going to, be builders, well, they're not average builders. Builders a good job. Brickies, sparkies, working in factories, warehouses. I've always said to my son, I don't care what you want to be, as long as whatever you're doing, you're happy. If you want to be a road sweep and you come home at 5 o'clock at night and you're buzzing because you've swept the roads and you've kept them clean, as long as you're happy doing that, then I'd be absolutely immensely proud with you. I would never ever diss him for whatever job he did and whatever he wanted to do. And I think as long as your kids are happy in life, doing what they're doing, then everything else is just material things, isn't it? I mean, people say, if you get a better job, you get a better car. Does that make you a better person? No, it doesn't. You've got to be happy in your job. And it goes back to these schools, and you teach these kids life skills rather than algebra and shit that they're never going to need, especially certain kids who, are never, ever, ever going to need algebra. I mean, I'd say 99% of our here, we all did algebra at school, but have we ever used it since? No. Every day I have to go to school and I think, if you do, you won't have to go here anymore. I don't know what you mean by that. Maybe I've read that. I've so much to cope with my two eldest. My eldest had a few attempts the last few years. That is shocking. Can I just, you're going to 78, I take it you were born in 78, yeah? I'm judging by that. So you're, sort of 7 years younger than me, so you're like, 47-ish, 48-ish, 46, 47. So your kids are probably teens, something like that, I'm having a guess. And how do you cope with that, though? I mean, how does that affect you? Seeing that with your kids, and I take it you've got help for your eldest now. I mean, that is that's nothing any parent should really ever have to live with, is it? Really, it's not. I mean, all we ever want to do is do right by our kids, and we want our kids to be happy. And when your kids are suffering, when your kids are struggling, I mean, I'll be honest, I've seen my son struggle and I reacted a completely different way. It messed me up a little bit, and I still feel guilty now because I wasn't there for him as much as I should have been. My wife was, and there was times when he needed his dad, but his dad was away with the fairies because it messed my head up. So I do still feel a bit guilty about that because I couldn't be there for him when he has his struggles and things like that. And so as a parent, it is tough, isn't it? You just wish you could take that pain away from your kids when they're feeling that way, especially when things aren't going, if people are bullying them or they're struggling with life, and you've got no answers for it, and you can't make them better. It is tough. The TikTok won't let me write the word, but it begin with S. Yeah, and I think that's why I got flagged earlier. I think it's because I used that word, that SU word. Yeah, I get you. Sounds a bit like seaside, doesn't it? Yeah, that's the word you're talking about. Yeah, well, I think that's why I got flagged earlier, because I said a particular word and it said something. What year are you in, sweetie? Please speak to someone. Okay, sorry, begins autocorrect, hate it from Germany. Sorry, I've lost you there. Let me use that. Yeah, I know what word you mean. X-Explorer, yeah, I know exactly. X-Explorer, what year are you in, sweetie? Please speak to someone. So X-Explorer, I take it you're only young. Let me just see what's going on here. Every day you have to go to school. Right, I get it. You have to go to school. You won't have to go. And if you do, you won't. Right, and if you do that, you're saying you won't have to go anymore. But the fact that you've come on here and said that, it should never get to that stage. And Kirsty's just said there, how old are you? What year are you at school? Are you in high school? Are you in college? Sorry, begins autocorrect. Hate it. You're from Germany, so are you actually German or are you just living in Germany? 7 going on 8. It's a child, mate. Age around 11 to 12. Okay. I don't know how that's happened. Okay. Can anybody actually have a look on that profile for me just to see what's going on there? $13. Sorry, you said 7 or 8. $13. Okay. And do your parents know that you're on here now watching this? I can ask, which part of Germany are you in? I spent a lot of time in Germany myself, so I know the country pretty well. But going back to what we're saying there about the kids in school, it is quite shocking and alarming just how many schools are just letting kids leave school, to go be homeschooled and things like that, because it's easy for them, isn't it? It's like removing a problem. If there's a child in the school who's been bullied or is struggling at school and taking teachers away from teaching because this child needs some one-on-one, then the school, it's about funding. It goes back to money, doesn't it? The school just can't cope with that. So it's a lot easier if that child leaves and goes home. Yes, Jane, born in 78, it's really tough. I'm on my own with 3 boys. And what is the age of your boys, is gonna? No, sorry, Exy Spawn, no, sorry, too private. Okay. What age are they? Yeah, X-Explorer, I think what you need to do is you need to reach out. Oh, sorry, too private. Okay, Kay's just joined back up there. So I've just waved at Kay. Okay. Anyway, guys, listen, we've covered a lot tonight. We've sort of really gone off track now. We've talked about Trump, which was fun for a while. I suppose it's a bit topical. But it's been interesting the last hour because we've spoke a lot about kids at school, kids who've struggled at school, kids who've struggled socially and mentally. And I think there is a bit of a pattern. I think, kids aren't prepared for the world like we all were. Okay, X-Explorer, see you later. I didn't know how to deal with that one there, guys. I wasn't sure what was, whether that was a legit or whatever. Some links to mental health. I think someone needs to do that to that X-Explorer. Yeah, just someone. I mean, first they said there were 7-year-old, and then they said there were 13-year-olds. I wasn't quite sure what was going on there. But we've been talking tonight about. I'm old enough. TikTok is 13 plus. Okay, that's fine. But it goes back to kids in school and how we raise them. I mean, kids are being raised now in this bubble of life where everything has to be perfect around them, and they're wrapped in cotton wool and they're given everything that they want, and they're never told off or scolded or punished for anything they do. Kids now at such young ages have mobile phones, and we all know just how dangerous that can be. I mean, that's definitely got a lot to do with mental health illness. I think the social media. I mean, there's a lot of badness to social media. We all know that as adults. We all see the bad side of it, and kids can get wrapped up in that. And it portrays a world to them, doesn't it? The social media portrays a world to these kids that isn't the real world. That's not real life, and parents aren't preparing them for real life, and that's why. Over the last hour, we do know that is a lot of the reason why kids are struggling when they get into early adulthood, 16, 17, 18-year-old, and even younger when they're at school. But because they're struggling at school, because they're being bullied, because they go into the real world when they're older and not prepared for it. That's why there's a lot of young people making a tragic decision and they're no longer with us because of that reason, and it is a serious issue, and we're not allowed to raise our kids how we feel fit, and like I say, I know back in the 70s and 80s it was a lot worse. We were tougher kids, and there's stories of kids were beaten badly, and obviously that's not the way to go. But I think all of us have sort of, anyone over the age of sort of 40-year-old now will probably admit that when you got a clout around the ear, you got to smack the arse from time to time, and you knew right from wrong, but kids don't know that, and we were toughened up, we were prepared for the world. So when we all went into the world at sort of 16, 17-year-old, we knew that when we went to work, you had to work hard or you didn't get no money, and you wanted money because you wanted to go out with your friends at a weekend. You went to work, and you were sort of the dog's body at work for a while. If you worked in a factory or a building site, you were the young kid. You made the tea, you swept up, you got the piss took out of you. But eventually there'd be another new kid, and then you could be part of the group, and you'd take the piss. And that was how life was. They could have silly words, sledging and all that kind of stuff. It's not. It's all about life, and it's all about preparing you for the world ahead of you. You ask most builders now who are 50, 60-year-old, and you ask them some of the stories when they first started on building sites, none of them really look back on it and say it was a bad time. They all look at it and say it was such a grounding time for them. It was what made them the people they are now, you know. And the guys that are probably still their friends in life are probably the guys who picked on them for a few weeks and made them sweep up and played tricks on them and, you know, made them fall over in puddles in the cold and things like, you know, things like that. And these are the things that grounded these people, and these are the things that made these people what they are. You know, they were never picked on, they were never hurt, and they were never physically abused. They were just sort of the brunt of jokes, but they were looked after and they were toughened up, ready for the world. These kids aren't getting that now, and we know that. Your live froze on you. Yeah, he did seem to disappear for a few minutes there. I'll send them over to you. I work closely with child and adolescent mental health services. My son lives here with me in Spain. They said year 7. Right. See, when I went to school, it was like first year senior, second year senior. So I don't get all this year 7, 8. I get it now. What is year 7, 8? So that's 12, 13. That's like, that would have been like second year senior, wouldn't it? Year 7, 8 would be sort of second year senior year, second year of senior school. I think they call it high school now, don't they? Very Americanized, aren't we? Mine's just a blank screen. I'll go out and come back in. Okay, I'm going to be going shortly anyway because we've been on here 3 hours. We've gone on and on and on. First year in the UK. I meant the young teen in the comments chair. Right. Yeah. I think. Are you talking about X-Explorer? Are you there, Kirsty? I think he's saying they're in Germany. We are building a We Support network together, but going back to what I said earlier, I would like somebody who's suffering from BPD. I'm going to do a couple of videos over the next few days and just put them out because there's obviously people who were on earlier have now gone, tuned in for the first hour or so, and then they've gone. Just to remind them that I'd like to get someone on here who suffers like I do with BPD, and I'd like to just sit for an hour and have a back and forth. And for people to watch that, I think that'd be good to do. So have a back and forth for me to ask them some questions, for them to ask me some questions, for me to listen to some of their stories. I mean, it'd be nice if it was somebody was on here earlier and said their son, 20 years old, would be willing to come on. He's apparently fun, so we could have a bit of a laugh together. It'd be good if we get on and take the piss out of each other, because that'd be good, wouldn't it? I mean, there's nothing but better than a bit of banter and a bit of fun. You got to worry about that wee teen all night. Well, I think I'm got to be careful on these sites, haven't you? You know, I mean, obviously we do want people to come on and be honest and open, but we've got to be careful as well. So it might be worthwhile if one of you women could just send a message to that person and just ask if they're okay, and then if you want to sort of send it over to me as well. But I think we've just got to be. You've mentioned it to camera about doing a live. Fingers crossed. Yeah, that's who it was. Your son, wasn't it, Mishi? I think we could have a really, really good live doing that. And what I'd do is maybe it's not this Thursday because it's only 3 days away. But if we could speak with him, maybe he's planned to do it next Monday or next Thursday, so it gives him a bit of time to get his head around it. And what I'll do is I could get a list of sort of maybe a dozen questions. What we'll do is we'll start off light, and I'll just speak to him and get to know him, and we'll have a bit of laugh and a bit of banter, and we'll find out who he's into football or whatever, what he's into. We'll have a bit of a general conversation just to get to know each other, and then I'll ask him some just not too personal questions, just some simple questions just of how his BPD sort of affects his daily life, and it'd be interesting for me to see how similar it is to myself, and for me to sort of tell him as well how my daily life, and to see how similar mine is to his. So that's his name, Cameron. It'd be lovely if I don't know if Cameron's on TikTok. If he is, get him to follow me. And it'd be nice if we could get him on that. It'd be absolutely great. I'd really look forward to doing that. It's been another really good live. Thanks, JNK. Much love to you guys. Thanks again for the live. It's been so interesting. Lots of engaging conversation. We've had a mental conversation tonight. Actually, we've really covered all sorts. But again, it felt like we were waffling a bit, but no, it wasn't. I mean, a massive talk about the COVID thing, which really affected people, didn't it? And then obviously young people at school and social anxiety and all that kind of thing. And that all leads to mental health. And the problem is mental health is starting a lot younger now, isn't it? And the kids are really struggling now with society. Good chat, guys. Good night. Listen, everyone, it's been absolutely fantastic. Mishi Moo, I'm going to give you all a shout out here. Mishi Moo, Lisa Jane, Who else we got? Zoe, Gunner78, Stace, Kirsty Annie, Kay, she's a weirdo. Ex-Explorer, and I think that's everyone who's on now. I think Hannah, thanks for the bullies. I didn't see that one. I missed that. Anna, your daughter struggling with school because the bullies just don't give a shit. And have you been to school and have you confront them about this? I'd be interested to know what they said. I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to be back on Thursday. I'll put a little video out. Keep that thought, Hannah, right? We'll discuss this on Thursday. I'd be interested to find out how the school's dealt with it, what they've said, and you know what your plans are for the future, what the school's plans are for the future. And it is interesting because it seems to be a pattern, doesn't it? The schools don't seem to give a shit. If there's a child that's being bullied or struggling, it's easy for the school if that child leaves, you know, and goes home and be homeschooled. Or if you take your kid out of school, they're not, you know, it makes it easy for them. You know, but they can't keep doing that to children. You can't just keep getting rid of every child who's struggling because kids are struggling more and more and more. So keep that thought. We'll chat about that in a couple of days. Good night, guys. Thank you, good night. It's been really good. Thanks, Gunnar. Zoe Pressure, buenas noches. That's close. Buenas noches. Buenas noches, mi amigo, mi amiga. Sometimes you just sit and listen to others' comments and chip in when it's relevant to me. That's fine, Lisa Jane. That is perfect. That's what this is for. Even if you just come on and you just sit and listen to me talking, answering people's questions, and we discuss someone else's issues. One day somebody will say something in particular that'll just trigger a thought in your head, and you know it could be of help to you. But again, any of you guys on there, Lisa Jane, Mishi, Gunnar, anybody, if you ever want to really discuss your mental health issues, I'm always happy for someone to come in on live. That's what I want to do with this. I don't want this to be me every single night just coming on and talking. You know, good day today. All I've done is sit and waffle. When that personality's when I'm this personality, I would just sit and talk till 2 o'clock in the morning. I would just sit and chat. But I can't keep doing that. I want to start getting people on. I want to start talking to people. I want to start doing, where we've got two people where I can ask you questions, you can ask me questions, and we can help talk about some deeper matters in people's mental health struggles. So that's what I want to do. But that lady who just said there about the daughter being bullied at school, and the school are not really doing anything about it, that's just a common theme, isn't it? It's a common theme, and this is the reason why young children are struggling. So I think Thursday night, what we're going to do is we're going to continue this from where we are now, regarding your kids and how they're being treated at school, how they're bullied, and how the schools are dealing with it, or how the schools rather are not dealing with it, because it's, it is a theme on it. We know they're not dealing with it. And again, Misha Moo, have a chat with Cameron. Get him to follow me on here and I'll follow him back. And if he wants to chat about anything, back and forth in the message before we go on, just to put his mind at ease. If he'd like to come on, he sounds like a great character. And if he's anything like me, and we can get him on a good day, we can get him in a chatty mood, and I'm in a chatty mood, Jesus Christ, we won't be able to get two words in edgeways, because you put two BPD together when they're in a good place, and I tell you, it's it'll be mental. It'll be great viewing for people, though. It'll give people a proper idea of what a BPD is about. And another subject I'd like to do as well is if anybody who's got bipolar, anybody who suffers with bipolar, I'd love to get somebody on one night and speak with people with bipolar, because the similarities with that and BPD, they are similar but completely different. And the only way you'd realise that is if we had someone on here with bipolar talking to me with BPD, and you'd see a lot of similarities. So we'll continue this on Thursday night, where we are tonight, talking about the kids at school and things like that, and the kids' mental health. But if you can speak to Cameron, get her to send me a follow and a message, and we'll go from there. The guys have been absolutely brilliant tonight. We've talked about all sorts. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for everyone tuning in, staying in. We are slowly building this community. Yes, Stace, you try and help that person. Keep me in touch with that one though, yeah? This is what this is for, yeah? So people like yourselves can help each other. So that's good. Listen, guys, I'm going to go. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for tuning in. and I will see you all on Thursday. Good night.